ready to get going here?
Yes, let's do it.
Alright.
Okay, so last time, to fill in those who might have gotten a bump on the head and forgot some stuff, after defeating the strange fellows in the room, sorting through all your stuff, you had a brief moment of respite and then decided to explore the rest of the tunnels, going up and out through the slightly winding, rough-hewn corridor until you flattened out towards the top of this tunnel, and the tunnel split into three directions, one going slightly downward and out to what turned out to be the opening out to a waterfall, some hundreds of feet above the icy lake below. You saw the tunnel was covered in frost and ice at that exit point as the mist running and flowing through the outside area kind of glazed the whole thing in frozen mist there. You turned around, deciding not to brave the slick, icy path that seemed to progress outward from there along the edge of this vertical rock face that forms Galen Falls, and made your way to the left, coming out of that corridor, making your way left, which you discerned was northward. You came to an exit where two of those more armored and armed guards were still and very apparently unobservant of the outside area. Sneaking up, you found that they had actually already been dispatched by your good buddy Chester and propped up against the wall with their own weapons, made to look like they were still on duty. So you turned around and went the other direction, all the way to the south, where you found two more living guards. After a brief altercation, put them down as well, and at that point, Hargis especially said that he was uncomfortable leaving the empty pods or the additional pods that were around you guys unexplored, fearing that there were other people, innocent people, trapped inside, and so the group decided to go investigate and see if they could rescue those other potential victims from the pods. The first two, further up the tunnel from where you guys were, turned out to be two fishermen who experienced some slight memory loss. The last they remembered, they were out fishing in the lake and were pulling their way upward from the steep cliffs that surround the lake, fishing for the ice crab that resides at the bottom of the lake, apparently very valuable and expensive product, worth risking the steep cliffs and icy waters to fish for. They had expressed to you guys that it was a dangerous business, and the community was used to losing a couple fishermen per year, and that this year they had lost more than the usual, which turned out to be in the area of 6 to 8 or so. They didn't have an exact number of fishermen lost during this fishing season, which seemed a bit suspect to you guys as well. After freeing those two, you went further down the tunnel, past the pods that used to house you all, and started opening up the couple pods that you saw there. Both turned out to be more younger. The first one was a younger male, and he had the same kind of feral, almost wild and manic manner that the naked man that you guys encountered when you first woke up attacking Chester did. He was eventually knocked out by you guys and then put back into the pod. Next one down was a woman who also had the same problem. She was just going crazy, and before she was able to get out, you guys knocked her out as well and kind of left them there propped in their pods. Moving down the line, there were 3 other pods before another opening in the tunnel, as you could see it kind of widen up ahead of you. But before you got to that point, as you were standing there kind of trying to decide what to do, coming up the tunnel was a strange, skittering creature with a hard shell, sharp, angular, almost spider-like or crab-like legs. And as it kind of skittered up towards you guys, it confronted you there in the tunnel and just hissed and cackled and crackled at you. And that's where we stopped, as this thing kind of had come up to apparently challenge you, but was keeping its distance, not really getting too terribly close. So it's about right now about 15 feet away from you, just kind of hissing and spitting and cackling, just of this pale shell and armored creature. What was that?
I'd forgotten about that.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I thought we'd
just for hopefully this comes through. But here's the visual of the little guy that you guys are seeing there. Nasty little critter. Just kind of hissing.
Doesn't look like a spider that it must die.
Yeah. So as this happens, the two fishermen that you guys had released, Thomas and Dannon, kind of step backwards, startled, not knowing what to do, and they're just kind of like, and keep walking back, and you guys are there, and you see it about 15 feet ahead of you, just big old teeth coming out, like a large mandible coming out, snapping out in front of you. So,
Get my longsword out and kind of just advance toward him and just being like, back!
Yeah,
Back! It's
it
like
pulls back,
I'm poking towards it.
Yeah, angles the top of its carapace down and keeps like walking backwards, and you can see as you kind of follow it about 20 foot ahead of you, past these last couple pods, there is a room that opens up into a larger cavern up ahead. And it's kind of backing up into a spitting at you, chomping.
Dannon and Thomas, you might want to take that route we told you to get out of here. As to you, let's get this thing out of here.
Yeah, we'll go back to town and we'll try and bring it back help. We'll take a look. We'll see what we can do. And you had told them about the room, so they kind of like start backing up towards that area, just keeping very close watch on this strange creature up ahead as best they can, but it's still pretty dim light in here, so they start feeling their way backwards along the cavern wall, retreating.
Take a torch with you. Tell them everything you've seen here.
Yeah, we'll try.
We might need help.
We'll try.
And don't get caught again.
We'll do our best. Keep backing away and retreating upwards. So yeah, this thing is like hissing into the room, and it's kind of at the angle of the tunnel kind of plateaus and flattens out ahead of you, and you kind of lose visual on it as it backs into this apparently larger corridor up ahead.
Let's leave the pods for now and take care of these things. What do you guys say?
Is there just the one that we've encountered so far?
So far, yep, just the one.
There's bound to be others, but no. One way to find out. Let's get them before they sneak up on us later.
Can y'all hear me at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're fine, Scott. At this point, Jasper looks up at you guys and he's like, right then, if we're gonna get into a tussle, reaches into one of his little pockets on his vest and he pulls out this tube, and as he opens the cork and puts it in his pocket, he starts like dribbling out this thick, slimy paste and starts rubbing it on these little patches of leather kind of sporadically placed out there, and then he gets out a little piece of flint and goes and kind of flares up briefly, and there's this little shimmer of smoke and flame as it burns across there. He's like, all right, I'm ready if you are.
Right.
I'm gonna just start advancing towards that room.
Okay. Are you doing it stealthily or with reckless abandon?
mean, the thing has already saw us, so I'm just gonna
Saunter on
start. Yeah.
in. Okay.
But I'll kind of be on the lookout, just for anything trying to ambush me,
Okay. So
the sides or whatever.
I'll keep a couple paces behind him, like 10 feet.
say marching order is Dakren, Branbrek. What about you? Are you there, Hargus? Put Hargus right behind.
I'm back. I started the Wi-Fi.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
Apologies, guys. I think it's not going to get much better. Let's see. I think I'll take my laptop to work tomorrow and.
Alright. You could just try to do connecting with just the audio and not video.
Scott, you there?
But, well, we can see if we can survive without our bard buddy. If nothing else, he can throw in a healing word
At this
just to
crucial moment.
let us know that
Got
we're still
healing
alive.
Potions too, but
Yeah. Yeah, so Branbrek and Dakren, you guys have the 2 healing potions, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Do
I
I?
think so. I know I have one.
Yeah, I think you'd had them passed out to you.
I do have 1 potion of healing in my inventory.
A good thing to recall. I'm trying to remember.
Can I investigate it to make sure it's not just a poison bottle with red dye?
You absolutely can. Jasper had said that he, and actually yes, Jasper has one too. Jasper had said that it was one of his, that he recognized the logo on it, basically his little stamp of approval when he puts the wax seal on the top of the bottle.
Right.
And yeah, you guys were all missing some gold out of your purse, so it appeared to be that you guys invested in having Jasper brew up some healing potions, which I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but you can use an herbalism kit to take a day to brew up a healing potion.
Yeah, for like half the
To
gold
be
cost.
proficient in
Yeah,
one,
you're
or-
proficient in it.
Yep, for half the gold
Okay,
cost.
yeah.
If you're proficient in it. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a
Well,
solid
I think you're allowed to do it even with you're not proficient in it. You just don't get your proficiency bonus to make sure that you succeed in making it.
Yeah,
I
technically.
think there are any checks that are needed.
No, if it the description says if you're proficient, you can spend 8 hours, brewing up a healing potion. So you don't have to make the check, and it just.
I think that's the only case where proficiency is actually needed is with tools, like thieves' tools and stuff. You can't use thieves' tools unless you're proficient in them. You can even roll just a straight dexterity check. So.
Yep. You just don't get your proficiency bonus added to the checks when you do them. Yep. It's a pretty handy little one if you want to save a little bit of gold here and there.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, shoot. I guess we'll just get going.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be able to jump back in later on. But yeah, as you guys enter this room and kind of make these last-minute preparations, checking your weapons and the accessibility of your healing potions, you enter into a larger cavern that opens up and into another domed ceiling. It is dimly lit in here, faint, glowing, light purple kind of pulses shimmer around the room in almost like a pulsing heartbeat. It's more or less synchronized, just kind of. And as it pulses around, you can see occasional blips of very similar size to the pods that you saw before, kind of spread throughout this chamber that opens up and kind of fades into the dim blackness of the back portion of it, and then it kind of pulses around again. As you walk in, you see centrally located. Why don't you all make a perception check as you walk in?
Perception, huh?
18.
Okay.
Ooh, let's see what I get here. That would be an 8.
8, okay. Yeah, you're walking in and a bit distracted. You kind of just see this dim lighting around you. Nothing really clearly pointed out. You can see a large structure, a large shape, a large mass in the center of the room. It appears to be an agglomeration of sticks and driftwood, and you can see, Dakren, numerous bones all piled together and pasted together, and they're all like stuck in this mass of just like crossing over and crisscrossed and just building up into this curved, concave sort of mass in the center of the room. And surrounding on all sides, you can see more as you're coming into the room, looking around, the pods spaced along kind of the lower edge of the floor. With color around.
Built a nest of bones and detritus.
And there in the center, you can kind of see the mass.
Ew.
There in the middle. And as you walk in, Dakren, you can hear too the around, and as you're looking around, you can see coming out of the darkness from the edges now, there's the one little clacker right in front of you here. And numerous others will back you up just a little bit. You hear other sounds around the periphery coming at you, and this thing now looks quite angry and disturbed, coming up from there. And
So
then
remind me again, are there pods in the on the walls in this room as well?
there are. You can see now scattered around a number of them, just around the edges, all around this vaguely hemispherical room. And as you approach and look in this thing, small skittering one right in front of you kind of hisses and does this large hissing sound, kind of piercing scream. And at that point, rising from the center of the nest, what you would assume to just be a big pile of bone, is a writhing purplish mass that props itself up on two enormous spidery or crab-like mandibles, like a sinuous worm body, and then coming out of the face, these tentacles like whipping around, and you see this little beauty coming up out of the center of the nest with a
Oh boy.
with a large swollen abdomen, and it kind of rears up, and that's probably a good time to roll some initiative.
Yep.
All right.
By the way, am I 10 feet back from Austin? Austin's character?
Yeah.
Dakren?
Yeah, we can put you 10 foot back. That's fine. There you go. Yep.
All right.
Does this sound pad thing have some combat music?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Sweet. I got a 22 for initiative.
I got a
Natural
21.
22
Ooh.
for Dakren, 21 for Branbrek. Alright.
We came prepared. Now to roll natural ones on everything else and die.
Subsequent attack. Alright. So yeah, it's there in the center, hissing and writhing at you. You can see as it rises up, it's not coming up to what you might assume is its full height. It's kind of like half up, and Dakren, you can see like kind of a large, swollen bottom portion of it, like something is lodged inside of it. It it doesn't seem to want to move out of the nest. Alright, so Dakren was 22. Let's see, I'm going to roll for Argus. So, Dakren, you are up first. You see this thing, and you can hear these other skittering sounds in the periphery around you. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna get out a torch and light it with my tinderbox as my action.
Okay.
And just kind of hold it out. It's probably an action to throw a torch, so that'll be it, I think. Just lighting it, and then I'm just gonna kind of try and hold sword in one hand and just hold the torch out at the other, at the little clacker thing, to kind of see if I can keep it at bay so that my companions can start doing some ranged attacks. But my got my sword at the ready too.
All right, Branbrek, next.
All right. Well. Nothing like the present. Let's see how many of these things I have on me. Okay. I'll move, let's see, about 10, 20, about 10 feet forward next to Dakren, and I'm going to pull out 2 of the daggers that I have. And I'm just going to hurl... Well, no. I'll just pull out 1 dagger, and I'm going to hurl it at the small one.
Okay. Make an attack.
Okay.
Also, it looks like your soundpad broadcast has ended, just so you know.
You guys can't hear it?
That is a 12
just went to like a general thing where I can control it now, so it looks like the actual broadcast itself.
A 12 to hit.
12 to hit. You chuck this dagger at it, and it hits the top of this like smooth bone-like carapace and just kind of glances off.
Yeah. And I'll retreat and move back my 10 feet from before, and pull out my rapier. And my turn there.
It is this little fellow's turn now. It is gonna pretty much there, but move up just a little bit, kind of, and as it's coming up, its mandibles kind of like project out from its mouth, and it opens the mandibles up, and there's this spray of greenish mist that kind of and moisture mist. Why don't actually let's go. Okay, well, just Dakren. All right, just Dakren. Make a dex save, Dakren, as it sprays this nasty greenish bile out at you.
22.
22, pretty darn good. Okay, so you're gonna take 1 point of acid damage as it kind of sprays. You kind of dodge out of the way, but you feel just this one drop of acid hit your arm. And where it splatters on the ground next to you, where most of it goes, you can see it just eat its way straight into the stone beneath your feet, and it just kind of dissipates in an acrid smoke that rises off the ground.
Oh, a little bugger just puked on you.
No.
As that happens, skittering around from the edge here. 25, 30. Okay, so yeah, this one will go for both of you, Dakren and Branbrek, and it'll come around like and same thing, spray at you both, dex save.
$18.
18, all right. Branbrek.
All right. 18 to hit.
18. It's making a
Dexterity save.
Oh,
so it's
dex
spraying
save.
this at you, and you gotta make a dex save.
Dex save. Hold on. That would be a 15.
15. Okay, so you both pass, and you both take 1 point of acid damage. Sprays all over you.
Okay.
It stays there, its jaws open, skittering at you. And next up is Jasper. He's gonna move over a little tiny bit over here. That range, and he's gonna fire off as he pulls up his bow and draws an arrow and puts it on there. And you hear him kind of whisper under his breath, just a small prayer, and he's just like, "Oh, Tree Father, please!" He fires it off. See if he hits that guy. Oh, natural one. No, he does not.
Oh.
Come on, Jasper, get your act together. Okay, a 10. So you, as he fires this off towards this thing right next to you, Dakren, you see this arrow like real close to your face. And then it goes skittering off into the darkness.
That's where you're shooting, gnome.
Sorry about that, sorry! Let's see. Next up.
Gnome or halfling?
No. He's a gnome.
The halfling was the one who died.
Yep. Yeah, Chester was the halfling. And he
Chester.
sadly is no longer with us.
I'd say something about little folk, but that would be the pot calling the kettle black.
So yeah, he takes that shot and then stands there looking concerned. After that, the large, sinuous form of this creature kind of writhes around on there and sees you guys. It is going to kind of like writhe up and go in just this horrible piercing scream that you all hear. Let's everybody make a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom, huh?
Yeah.
And
Ooh. 17.
Okay, you guys, you watch as Dakren and Jasper kind of grab their head. This horrible pain goes lancing through your body as this scream seems to echo in your mind, Dakren. You're gonna take a little bit of damage. 1 point of psychic damage, and you're gonna have some other things happen later. Branbrek, you hear this scream kind of trying to like penetrate your mind, and you just kind of shake it off and just
It's like being at the opera house.
exactly. Alright, and it does not move, but it kind of looks around and surveys you all, looking rather disturbed and tender. Okay, it is now Hargus's turn. Gonna pull out a couple of his little shurikens off his belt, these small metal discs, and chuck them. But they both miss. They go flying out and curve just at the last minute and get out of the way. Alright. And after he goes, coming out around the side. Two more of these things. One's gonna come over this way. They come skittering out. This thing's gonna jut out with its mandibles and take a bite at Jasper. But with a 12, it's gonna miss. So yeah, you see it kind of bite outwards, and as it lunges forward with these mandibles, it kind of hits the vest where had seen Jasper smear this goop on the leather patches on his vest, and it kind of just like bounces off. And then this one here, he's gonna spray you, or he's gonna move one closer right up next to him. Spray both of you guys. So dex save for you two again as it sprays another gout of acid at you.
12.
12? Okay.
18.
18, alright. You both pass again. So you each take 2 points of acid damage. Alright. That gets us back to the top. Dakren, what would you like to do?
Kind of holding my head with my clenched fists, each holding something. I look up at the rude mother thing, and I'm like, "What's the matter? Can't come join your little children up here?" And I'm gonna throw the torch into the nest.
Okay. So as you're
Lob it
starting to
over
throw
into them.
there's that ache, that pulse of pain kind of still echoing in your mind, so you can chuck it in there, but make the attack with disadvantage.
Is this a attack or like a dexterity check or what?
Yeah, just attack. Yeah, it's an improvised weapon kind of a thing, so just make a straight attack.
Good and not good. 10.
10. Okay, so yeah, it kind of... and you see it kind of clatter and land just next to the nest, kind of off to the side there. Didn't get centered or anything the way you wanted, but it's kind of burning dully off to the side. And it sees it...
Alright, you rotters. And I'll just get my sword at the ready and end my turn.
Right. Branbrek, you're up.
Alright, well, let's go and move 5, 10, 15, 20. Just to the corner, the one to the left of Dakren.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay. Move up right next to it.
With my rapier and short sword drawn at this point, I'm going to make my first attack with the rapier.
Okay.
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Alright. That would be a miss. I rolled a 4, so I'll take another swing with my offhand.
Still get to add proficiency to the attack. On your offense.
True, and it was a natural 20
Hey, alright,
with
so
the short sword.
double
So,
or yeah, if you guys want to switch to the full die version of this, or you want to keep it with double the dice or whatever. For this
Up
combat.
to you, your DM.
Why don't you
Yeah.
go ahead and if you guys like the max one die and roll the next one, you can go ahead and do that.
okay, yeah, that's fine. So that would be 6 plus 3, so 9 damage from the short sword.
Okay. Yeah, you bring this
Plus the sneak attack, which would be another additional 6,
yeah, so you
plus 2.
well,
Six.
on offhand
Right.
attacks,
So
you don't get to
18
add
damage.
Yeah, on offhand attacks, you don't add your modifier to damage.
I'm not. Those were just the die rolls.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you bring it down and just all the way through this soft spot where the hard upper carapace of it meets this weird neck stalk, and it's just. And as you twist and pull it out, there's this gout of strange acrid blood that goes outward. And as it's
Actually, I think it's 17 damage. Sorry, 1 point less.
that is still sufficient to kill this.
Just
thing.
making sure.
It dies in front of you. Alright. Good. Alright, okay, so now it's time for these first two fellows. You've killed its best friend, Branbrek. Little did you
No
know.
regrets. No regrets.
It's gonna... And he's gonna take a little snap
Sure.
at you.
should have warned its best friend that I was around.
So 17 to hit.
Oh, that hits.
Okay, let's see here. It's gonna do 4 points of piercing damage as these mandibles come up and bite you.
Ugh.
Make a con save.
Constitution save, huh? Oh gosh, what is with these 4s that I'm rolling? 7.
7, okay, so as it bites into you and you feel this like oozing sensation around the bite wound, you feel a burning rise up and you take
Is
another
it poison? Because you're a dwarf.
Yeah, I'm resistant to poison, so I already. There's
You have
that.
advantage on saves against
In
it,
that
so.
case, roll.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do have advantage on saves against that. In which case, that is a 19.
Okay, alright, so you just take 1 point of damage then.
Your bite's weaker than whiskey.
And this guy here is going to run up and do the same thing. Dakren, he's going to take a little nibble at you. Ooh, 18 on the die.
Yeah, that hits.
So he gets one of these
It
con
barely hits.
saves. It just so 6 points of piercing damage.
Hellish Rebuke.
Okay, dex save for him. Oh, natural 20. Sorry, that sucks. So half damage.
Alright, well, it's still half, which
You can
is
still do 15
not
damage.
great. Up 3 points of fire damage.
So you roast it and it kind of squeals out in pain as the flames writhe around it.
From 3d10, you only did 6?
2d10.
Is this the feature from spell or from class?
It's a spell in my class. What do you mean?
Oh, okay. Sorry, no. I'm used to tieflings having it.
Not a
I couldn't remember
tiefling,
what.
yeah.
I couldn't remember what race you were. I couldn't remember if you had a class feature version.
I'm a half elf.
Like, you all look the same to me.
Let's see. So those guys go. What's Jasper gonna do? He does not like this thing. So he's just gonna attack with disadvantage as it's snapping out in front of him. And let's see if we can. Not terrible actually. Same number on both dice. Attacking with disadvantage. Okay, no, but he misses. It goes bouncing off the skull as he tries to draw the arrow, and it kind of poof, just clatters off. A little mote of fire bounces off the skull and goes skipping off into the distance. Right. The large purple worm creature writhing now sees one of its spawn, one of the drones, dead on the ground. And it's gonna just do that bellow again. Just a piercing scream that you guys all feel just lancing through your mind as the tentacles writhe during the screaming sound. And do a wisdom save for all you guys.
Natural 20, minus 1, so 19.
5 for me.
Alright. So
And thus ended Dakren's journey.
you take 2 points of psychic damage, Dakren. You take 1 point of psychic damage, Branbrek.
From a natural 20.
I wasn't doing
half damage.
natural 20s or 0, but natural
Oh
20s
no.
are
Oh
half.
no, I couldn't remember if we took no damage the previous time. So,
I
1
have
point of
not
damage.
done it that way, mostly because people don't want to do the double damage on a natural 1 side of the...
Oh no. I couldn't remember if it was half damage the last round.
Gotcha.
I thought it was a save or fail.
It's just half damage, and you don't have the disadvantage on your next attack. So, as Grim kind of shakes it off this time, but Branbrek, you take that full 2 points of damage, and actually you see Hardius kind of like shake it off as well.
I stumble almost to one knee. I'm almost dead.
Oof.
Oh, I need your help.
Okay. And you can see after that, the large worm creature looking around starts to like writhe and pulse and throb. It's looking like, and you see that large mass, that spheroid kind of mass in the lower portion of its body start to like push outward and go towards this fleshy tail towards the back end. It looks like it's kind of expelling something. Not sure what's going on there, but it's like pushing it out. Okay, Hargis' turn. He sees you pretty hurt, so he's gonna healing word, which is 2d4 for healing word, right?
1d4.
1d4.
Unless it's a higher level, but I don't think we.
Okay, so 1d4
Second
plus. Oh man, so 6 points of healing.
Oh,
so
man.
he has a +2 charisma. So 6 points of healing. Gives you. And he'll bonus action. So he'll throw off another shuriken at this thing next to you to try and hit it. Oh yeah, that hits for sure. And that's a d4. So he hits that thing, and you see like this little spinning disc lodge itself into one of the lobster crab arms off the side. Kind of digs in and does some damage there. Alright. This one's going to come after Jasper again. The other one's going to attack you, Branbrek. So this one's for you. Oh, misses as it snaps outward. You're able to just take your rapier and just move the mandibles aside. This one's going for Jasper. Oh, yep, that worked. So he's going to take... That's not too bad. And his cons. So he takes a big snap there. As it pierces into his side. And he's trying to push it away with his staff. Okay, back to you, Dakren.
Okay, I'm going to turn to that one next to us, next to me, and attack it with my sword. Booming blade, if I hit.
Okay.
And that's disadvantage, right?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, you still feel that pain kind of pulsing through your mind.
Oh man, in that case it's a 7.
Yeah, it comes swinging down, and at the last minute it just pulses, and you fall to the blow.
And I'm going to take one step back. Away from the big worm. 5
This
feet.
way? That way? Back to there?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah? Okay. So you're
And that's my turn.
Good deal. Okay. If you have a dagger or something, you can do an offhand attack. Because you're doing one-handed sword attacks. You can do an offhand attack. If you're interested.
Nah.
No? Okay.
I'll just end my turn.
Alright, Branbrek, you're up.
Alright, let's move 5 feet to the west. So I'll be between those two.
Over this way.
And that's east. Yeah. So that way. And I'll turn and I'm going to attack the one that's in
By Jasper.
combat with Jasper. Yeah. And I start whistling a song. Whistle while you work. Alright.
Hi-ho.
Hi-ho! It's off to work I go! And stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. Natural one on my first attack with my rapier.
Okay, so yeah, you go. jab
Following
it
up with a
forward.
short sword.
Yeah, it is out of the way. And
th-
it watches the ground.
13 to hit with the short sword, though.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, max damage on the sneak attack and 3 damage on the dice. So, 9 damage total.
9 total. Okay, so yeah, you jab this thing into it, and once again, that short sword just comes breaking through the top of the shell, and you feel this splatter of strange hot blood over your hands.
If you weren't so disgusting, you'd remind me of crab.
Moving out on the ground.
Okay.
Right.
Oh.
Well, that fellow's this guy's turn. So this guy who ran around before, he's gonna take a snap at you.
Yeah, it was gonna happen anyway, so I was going to move back over. So I moved 5 feet over. I was going to take the opportunity attack and move over to the other side where, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, just behind, Dakren.
Okay.
On the south side. But that provokes opportunity, yes.
Okay. So we'll just call that the same roll for that. 14 to hit.
14 is my armor class.
Gets you.
Which brings up a question: are we doing the non-link criticals with the caveat of the? Yep.
With the what?
I usually do both, so they kind of balance each other out.
What was the other one?
Glancing blow. If you hit the AC exactly, it does half damage. That balances out the higher
But
damage.
wasn't the 13 I hit just earlier glancing then?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we won't worry about it for right now then.
We have to bring that fellow back to life.
Yeah.
No.
We'll call that. That one is 7 points of piercing damage and a con save.
All right. Ah. Constitution save, don't fail me now. First one's a natural 20.
All right.
There you go.
So 1 point of damage. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it comes. How's that? This way. Well, actually, no. He's gonna move here and try and get some help from his buddy. You guys do flanking? I like flanking. For advantage?
If you want.
I think flanking is good.
I think we were flanking, or I think he was flanking one with me earlier, and we didn't do anything.
No? Okay.
But if you, up to you, your DM.
You guys want it for the rest of the round? I won't give it to these guys if you guys don't want it for the rest of the combat. Or you can have it.
Maybe not this combat, because I might have done something differently if we would have had that.
Yeah.
So
So that's
to decide those between battles.
That's 11 to hit you. I think that's a miss, Dakren.
Miss.
Alright, that's a miss. It comes snapping at you. He just glances off your armor and kind of skids off to the side. The other guy on the other side of you is going to do the same thing. Well, no, he's going to go this way a bit. Just so you can get both of you. A couple more deck saves for you guys. Sprays at you.
16.
16, okay.
14.
14, okay. You're still good. Both pass. So, 2 points of damage. Acid damage to both of you. And Jasper's turn.
And that means I'm at 1 HP.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, Branbrek.
Jasper sees these big gashes in you, kind of just big gouts of blood coming out where this poison is seeped in, and even where you resisted the major effect, you feel this, like the blood there is not, like it's bleeding more freely than normal, like it's blood thinner has been injected into you. So he sees one of those big ones and he rips open a pocket and reaches in there and pulls out this mass of like mushed up paste and green stuff. He runs over to you, kind of skirts around there so he doesn't provoke anything, and he slaps it onto your side and just is like, oh, please, and he's like rubbing it into your side.
Ow!
Yeah, and
Ow,
it does hurt.
ow,
It does
ow.
hurt, but then it feels real good as you regain. Sorry, I gotta check. 9 points of healing.
As a reaction, can I shove him?
Like elbow him backwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can feel it like this pulse of warmth as it's mushed into one of the bigger gashes on your side. And yeah, you regain 9 health, but it stings a bit going in, and it smells just wicked. You don't know what's in this goop that he shoved on you, but it is nasty, nasty business.
Ow.
Yeah.
Not sure if I should be appreciative or not.
It does feel a lot better when you're done. 9 points is pretty good. Okay. Mark off use of one of his poultices. Okay. Alright. After that, you can see the large purple mass up there writhing, and it continues to like, and this large sphere that was like partially in its abdomen now finally pushes it out, and into the nest at the edge of your vision you see this large purple orb kind of blurb off to the side, roughly 2 foot in diameter, and it kind of just gloops off to the side here. Kind of just comes out in front of it there, and then that was the bulk of it. Yeah, so that's all it can really do. It excreted this thing, and you can see it like writhe out in pain as it seemed to take its entire turn excreting this thing into the nest in front of it. And that brings us to
Vile.
It's not great. Those 2 are down. Okay, so it's back to Dakren. You're up.
All right. I glare at that one that's been spitting on me, and my eyes flash red, and these infernal red runes kind of flicker all over its body, and I cast Hex on it.
Okay, all right.
And, let's go with disadvantage on strength checks.
Okay.
And then, so that's my bonus action. And then I'm gonna Booming Blade hit it with my sword.
All right, sounds good to me.
Do I still have disadvantage, or was it just 1?
It didn't take its turn to do that. It spent its whole turn excreting
Okay.
this orb, so
Okay, in that case, it's a 22 then.
that will hit. That will hit.
Alright. So it's surrounded by booming energy. Then it takes... yes, a full 8. So 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
3 points of necrotic damage as the hex flares up as soon as I slash it.
So yeah, you bring it down and just you chop off 2 legs as it's going into the central stock of this body, and as it's in there, you just twist and pull it out. There's a pulse of dark energy. It just kind of burbles and drops down dead in front of you.
I kick it away from me.
Flavor kick, always permissible. Yeah, it is down, and you can see now the we'll just call it the queen for now, writhing and rising up in the back from this nest. Is like, Branbrek, you're up.
Alright, let's stab into this one that's right next. I'm gonna circle it a little bit just to get on the other side, just for flavor. And then this time, just gonna scissor it with the short sword, and I need to get a new rapier apparently.
Oh no.
That was a natural 1,
Oh no.
and then a natural 7, so 11 to hit. So I don't think I hit with either of them.
Okay. So I did make Dakren do this on his natural 1 last time. So as you stab down and it glances off this hard shell, it kind of impacts onto the hard stone beneath it. Make a dexterity check just to see if you can maintain your grip on the rapier as it impacts the ground.
Apparently not. 5.
5? Okay. It wasn't a super high DC, so you're very good at holding on your blade. This is relatively easy for you. So 5 is good. You managed to hold
I imagine it's like those toys where it's those bendable swords, so when you hit it down, it like sprung out of my hand, launched into the air, and I just grabbed it again. not gracefully.
Yeah.
Not gracefully by any means. It was more like a
Yeah, you managed to just hold on to it. Just hold on to it. And,
Okay.
and you missed with your short sword too, huh?
Yeah, I rolled a natural 1 on the rapier and a 7 on my short sword.
Yeah, and then as you're adjusting and the shock is kind of pulsing through your arm, yeah, your other glancing on this shell on its head. All right. Well, Jasper is gonna. Oh, wait.
Get this little one off us so we can light up the queen.
Yeah.
I just say that in general.
Let's see. It's gonna take one more snap at you, Dakren, since it's been kind of focused on you. You know what? I've been doing too well with this green die. You're switching. Sometimes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this one right here. This one
Not superstitious.
This one's dangerous. I don't know. That guy's dangerous. What's this? Alright, well, it still hits. That's a 16 on the die. So, it snaps out at you. Make a con save as it bites into you. Oh, not bad.
Okay. Con save. That's not good. It's a 9.
9? Okay. Not gonna do it. So you take 2 points of poison damage, and you feel this burning pain kind of spreading up your side.
How many points of poison damage?
2.
Okay. And I lost concentration on Hex.
Oh, the DC
About that.
10? Failed the DC 10 concentration?
Yeah, I rolled a 8, so
That sucks. Alright, well that's it.
I throw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm poisoned?
Yeah. You have a type of poison. It's not the general poison. We'll get to it on your turn.
Okay,
It's a specific.
sounds good.
Okay. Now it is Jasper's turn. He's gonna try and plug this fella. Come on, Jasper, hit something, man. Just draw his bow and hey, all right, 18. So that'll hit. And he gets these. Actually, that was nice. 9 points on the die. So yeah, he hits. Sure, and yeah, it flares out.
Oh, I forgot to mention that when I killed that other clacker, the sort of greenish glowing energy like went from its soul, and I breathed it in and got 2 temporary hit points.
Good call.
Forgot about that, so.
If an option, breathing in the creature's soul is always a good call. Okay. All right, that was Jasper.
It had no soul, let's be honest. It was a djinn.
Yeah, they are pretty nasty little things. As that last one goes down, you see the queen kind of writhe up to its full height and let out another piercing scream, just And so wisdom saves all around. And it comes sliding half its
20 for my wisdom save.
20. Yeah, it'll just go for the big mass. 20, okay, so you pass. What about you, Bran?
17.
Okay.
Well, -1, so 16.
So you take 1 point of psychic damage. Not too bad. Oh, he's good too. Everyone shakes it off, and you all kind of like get your bearings as this thing lets out the piercing scream, and then having another action at its disposal now, since it's not focused on this other strange orb-laying activity. It is just going to give you all a nice douse of acid, so dex saves for everybody.
Dex save, huh?
Ooh.
4.
21.
Okay, so that's going to be a total of 4 points to you, Dakren, 8 points to you. 8 points to Dakren, 4 points to Branbrek of acid damage.
I scream in pain from the burning acid and fall to the ground unconscious.
Oh gosh.
Alright, yeah, you see Jasper cry out as well. Jasper also screams out in pain and looks very perturbed. He's got either. That's the Queen's turn. It is Hargus's turn. He's going to bonus action healing word. You, Dakren. So, that's, ooh, hey, 4 points.
Total?
Yes. And then he's going to... Yeah, you're back there. You are prone. And then he will... What was his bonus action? So his action... he's going to... all the spells. I know he's got hideous laughter, but I think... Not sure if that works for this. He'll just throw
Might as well try.
yeah. He'll just chuck another one of his last one, actually. I think.
He already used healing word anyway, so
Yeah, so that's
already
right.
one spell.
He can do vicious mockery, which will give it disadvantage.
I'm not sure if he has that. He might. He's never used it before, but
Well,
It's a cantrip for bards, though, that I think is
sorry, I'm just
inherent.
not sure if he chose it. So
well, I had him throw one of his shurikens at it, and it did hit. So he's gonna
Okay.
do. Oh, not bad. 5 points of piercing damage. And Queen, as he chucks this thing, goes flying in and just kind of cuts into one of the tentacles and just writhes around there. Wait, I skipped Jasper accidentally. So he sees you looking real bad. So he's gonna run up and he'll feed you a health potion. He's got that health potion, so he pulls it off and is like, "Here, take this. Drink." And he just kind of pours a health potion down your gullet.
I
Oh man.
gratefully drink it.
9 points of healing. And then
Very good.
And then so he's just gonna. Doesn't like getting hit by that, so he's gonna. The rest of his movements is 5, 10, 15. Jump over there. You guys maybe note that he is a fast little gnome. Okay. So Dakren, you're up. We're feeling a little bit better.
I stand up, and then I pull my light crossbow from my back. And I'm gonna take 3 steps back, because that's as far as I can go with half my movement. And I'm gonna shoot the broodmother thing with my crossbow.
Okay.
13.
13 does not hit. You see it fire off, and yeah, it manages to just hit one of the claws on there. As it tink, clacks off. All right. Branbrek, you're up.
Aw. Do I go for broke? Okay. Branbrek, full of rage, just yells in dwarven fashion, and I rush it with both my weapons drawn, and I'm gonna make 2 attacks on it.
Alright, so
Branbrek, no!
First one to hit is a 15.
that hits.
That would be a total of 8 damage, max on my rapier. Oh no, not quite max. But 8 damage from the rapier.
Okay.
And then the short sword is a natural 18 by itself, so 4 damage from it.
Okay, yeah, so you bring the rapier in and kind of just jab it straight into this giant fleshy worm body, and it sinks in all the way to the hilt, and you pull it out and stab with the sword and take a good chunk off of the side, and there's the gloppy blood kind of oozing out the side now.
And if I can move over to its side.
Over on the left of it or to the right of it?
West, so left of it.
Yep.
I think that's enough movement. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Pretty good. Those are all... It's alright, Jasper's up. He's gonna... Well, he's just gonna... Yeah, he's actually out of fire areas, I'm pretty sure, so he's gonna grab another one on his side, bring that up, and just whisper under his breath and fire off another arrow. Let's see how that goes. Oh, nice. 18 on the die. So yeah, as he fires it off, it shoots a short distance, and then there's just this mote of kind of blackish energy that kind of and it hits into the side of it for 3 points. Not huge. Alright, it is its turn. You gave it a good poke in there, Branbrek, so it's not thrilled with you. So it's gonna kind of
I can imagine.
Like over the side, and it's gonna slash out with one of these large kind of pincer, almost like mandibles, and streak out at the side at you. 17.
17 definitely hits.
Okay, so that's gonna be only, not too bad, only 4 points of piercing damage as it reaches out, and as it hits you, it like pinches in on the side, and then as it's kind of bringing you in, this tentacle writhed maw is going to come down towards your head.
Okay. I'm at 1 HP.
Oh no! Oh, you lucky dog. That's a 5 on the die, so 9.
Okay, as it does that, I just thrush my rapier above my head to kind of keep it at bay.
Oh, dang. Okay, that's its turn, and it's still got you pinned in this pincer right.
So I'm grappled?
Yes. The hit on your AC grappled you as well.
Okay.
Okay, that was his answer. And now it's Argus's turn. I'm gonna say he's got Vicious Mockery just for fun, because it makes sense. It's the best part as well. He's got to take it. If he hasn't taken it, it's because he doesn't know about it, so...
I'm pretty sure he viciously mocked the people in our first session.
It makes sense. I think he was talking about writing down jokes for it, too. So, we'll say that's his... okay, it does not pass, and it's going to take that... Oh, nice. 4 points of damage. Okay, so yeah, it like writhes around as it gets psychic damage of its own, and is not thrilled with it. That brings us back to the top with Dakren. What would you like to do?
I just kind of look exasperatedly at Branbrek, and I'm just like, stubborn, noble old fool, and I'm gonna just throw my crossbow to the ground and run up, drawing my long sword. I think I can make it all the way up there. That's not me, I'm the other one, I think.
Right up to it,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just going to take the sword with both hands and swing as hard as I can. Booming blade.
You hear me from muffling between all of its tendrils. That's it, laddie!
A 16.
16 hits.
Alright, so that's a two-handed shot, so it hurts, but it's worth it this one time. 8 points of damage, and it's breathed in booming energy.
You bring it down as it is. You kind of like, you're so focused on Branbrek as you're running up to it, and as you get there and start bringing your two-handed attack down on it, it whips around as soon as you're making this attack, and its whole maw is right there in front of you, just like staring you right in the face as you're coming down, and you just plant it directly in the center of all these milky white eyes that are spotted around the face above the tentacles, and you just bury your sword halfway through this thing, and it starts to twitch violently. Branbrek, you're at the side there, like twitching, getting shooken around like a rag doll as one of these arms things, and then you feel it go lax and fall over.
Take that, you rotter! Then this red mist kind of glows out of it, and I breathe it in again, and my eyes flash red. And you see it, Branbrek, and I'm kind of embarrassed that you notice my red eyes, but I'm like,
I don't know what I do. I'm a pretty blind dwarf. I have lower than average perception.
Perception, yeah. So
you may think I do. I will.
You might be covered with
not.
slime too. Who knows?
Well.
Anyways, at least you think I saw it.
Well
I
played,
will
guys.
reveal that later.
That was great.
Really quick, I'm gonna take my rapier and stab it into the thing it undulated out of itself.
Oh, the orb in the.
Yep.
Yeah. So you walk up to it and you just take your rapier and you start jabbing into it. It's just sitting there, and as you're stabbing into it, you can see inside a small swirling figure. So it takes a second for you to eventually stab around, and you pin it at one point, and you see like.
Oh, if I have to scissor it, I will.
Yeah, so you kind of pin it down at one point and get it like kind of pinned with your rapier, and then bring your short sword down and right into the center of it. And last thing, as it drops and the worm finishes its last, as the queen gives off its last shudder, you guys all hear the one final death scream echo out. Make a wisdom save, everybody.
I think the minimum I can take is 1 damage, right?
That's probably true.
I only have 1 HP.
You don't start stabbing me.
This is what I'm dreaming of as I'm unconscious.
Yeah, no, you see it like on the ground. It was bleeding out, and right before it died, after you finished stabbing this small egg,
12.
this final scream. And what'd you get, Dakren?
13.
13?
13.
I'm sorry, one more time.
13.
13
is what he said.
13. Okay. So you're gonna take 1 point of psychic damage. Dakren, you're gonna take 1 point of psychic damage. Branbrek, and Grib takes 1 as well. Actually,
I rolled a 12.
You rolled a 12.
Well, I rolled a 13. I have a -1.
Gotcha. Well, so the DC is 12, but it's half damage.
Okay, so it's...
You actually see...
Well, I take 1 point,
1 point.
and I go unconscious.
And you actually see Jasper actually drop too, because that was his last HP as well. And you guys all feel this pain pulse through your neck and brain as this thing gives off this death shudder. And you see both of your friends drop to the ground as that happens.
I jump over the body of this thing and I run over to Branbrek. I'm like, no. Hey, and I kneel next to him and I try to slap him awake. Wake up,
Yeah,
you're okay.
He is unconscious and like breathing shallowly.
I'll do a medicine check and stabilize him. Or is he stable, or?
You can do a medicine check to find out.
Okay. 9.
9? It's hard to tell. He's like kind of a ragged breathing on the ground. Let's see, how many spells?
Argus, make sure the gnome's all right.
Yeah, he's just gonna run over. He'll throw a healing word at Dakren, and then pull the last health potion off of Jasper and give that to him. So you get back 1 point, Dakren, and as he pours the health potion. I'm sorry.
No.
Dakren,
He said it.
Branbrek.
He said it. Let it go.
Branbrek.
That's what he did.
Branbrek.
He gave it to Dakren.
Yeah. Branbrek.
I just
back
wondered
1
how a health healing word could only do 1 hit point.
It's a
Yeah,
one-
because
plus
it should be
your
your
bonus.
charisma bonus as well.
So yeah, plus,
it shouldn't be possible.
So plus 4. So that's plus 4 instead, not plus.
There
4.
we go.
My bad. And health potion gets poured into Jasper, and he gets back 4 as well.
So the saving throw is a 10.
So yeah, as he healing words you feel yourself shudder back to consciousness. Aches and pains all over your body, and yeah, pretty rough, but you guys managed to get through.
Wait, he threw a healing word?
Yeah.
You're healed.
Does he
You're
have
fine.
spell slot? No. Does he have spell slots left for that?
Yeah,
I think
he only
that's
used
last
healing word
one.
twice, so he had 1 left.
Yeah, that would have been the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, that was the 3rd one that he just used on you. Which you should have. I've got yeah. It's 3. So he used his 3 spells for that.
Okay.
And then the potion for
And it was 4.
yeah, it was 2 on the die, and then plus. I don't know if he's got plus 2 or plus 3. So.
Okay. Now I stab the undulating egg.
Yeah, no, you did it beforehand.
Okay.
The worm was making death saving throws, and it died a few seconds afterwards, so it did not survive. And you guys...
Great ruddy dwarven fool. What were you doing rushing up and taking on that monster by yourself for?
It's been a good while since I've been in a scrap like that. Though I prefer the bar fights, there's always ale afterwards. But I appreciate it. I knew I could count on a fellow veteran to jump into the fray with me.
Oh, you almost got me killed. Me and my honor, trying to not leave any man behind, but you did do well. I kind of like clasp your wrist and help you to your feet and stuff.
I say, never expect a Branbrek to run from a fight.
Well, yeah, that
Oh,
was very...
you know how to use a crossbow, don't you?
Unfortunately, I didn't have anything like that on my body. And personally...
Take this one. I toss you a hand crossbow that we looted from... We take that from Chester earlier or something?
One of the guards.
And
Oh, one of the guards. Here.
I'm gonna pat
You
my
can use this
belt
one.
where I have 3 more daggers. Like, I appreciate the offer, but if you want to use it, I'm not keen on the ranged weaponry.
Well, I hope you enjoy getting up in the thick of it with things like that, because I certainly will try and stay away. That thing is awful, and I don't want much to do with it. That really hurt. That really hurt. And Hargus starts walking around. He's like, yeah, that was pretty nasty, but I'm gonna collect my little throwing stars here. And he goes and starts collecting his shurikens that he'd thrown.
I'm gonna pick up the 1 dagger I threw from earlier.
All right, what's the plan?
I'm gonna climb up and look inside the nest and see if I can see anything else in there.
Okay, yeah, you
Besides
crawl
that
up in
egg
there.
thing.
It's just this
How many-
mass of bone and driftwood. There are, and it's all kind of glued together with this thick, viscous, hardened material. It's like a mucus that was secreted to glom it all together into this unified mass. It's all just kind of sitting there. But as you're looking through it, other than the orb, there's
Any possessions or treasure or anything?
no, you're not seeing
Anything shiny?
Yeah, not seeing anything like that in here.
How many bolts did you give me, Austin?
I don't know. How many bolts did that guard have?
Easy 20. I mean, you could get 20 from each of them, really.
Yeah, he had a full case, so
Yeah.
here you go.
Yeah, so if you wanted,
Case of
if
bolts.
you want to grab all, 80 from the 4 that you guys confronted, you could have 80 of them if you wanted.
I'll
Still got
pocket
my
that for the
case
moment.
that I've only used one of, so I only use it when I have to.
Um,
I'm just gonna kind of look around the cavern some more. Anything?
yeah.
No signs of any other clackers or.
Yeah, so as you start looking through these pods now, you can see, as you're kind of coming up and looking around, there's a number that have different types of animals in it. You can kind of like push in and look in, and it's like there's badgers, and there's even some as small as squirrels in there. There's just various animals that are all kind of encased in these things. As you kind
That's
of
what we need, mutant squirrels.
you prod at them, and eventually you take your knife and cut one open, and as it kind of like rises up, it starts going like
Stab.
growling, and just you kill it instantly. And
I will begin the long, arduous work of methodically murdering each of these egg sacs.
yeah, you go around.
As long as it's not a sane person.
Actually, as you're looking around in this room here, all of the pods here are filled with animals of various types, except at the back of the pillar, or on the back of the nest, where there are the bodies of the 3 guards in the item room, wardrobe, loot room, whatever you want to call it. The 3 bodies there are just kind of piled there, along with Chester as well. Just kind of dropped there with the rest of them. And yeah, there's the pile. But as you go around,
Shall we make a big pile of them and burn them or something? What do you guys think?
I think we should light this whole thing on fire.
yeah, actually that torch there on the side where it was against the nest, you can see a bit of the flame has spread up onto some of the wooden elements, the kind of smooth, rounded driftwood elements, and it's burning.
I'll go over and pick up the torch and just kind of help it along, just sort of lighting any parts of the nest that look like they're on fire.
And as you walk around to the
Flammable.
back, also there behind the nest, sloping downward, is another smaller tunnel that descends steeply down. And you can see it like descend and spiral downward from where you are, like a big sweeping spiral down.
Okay.
Oh, look at this, boys. Looks like this isn't the end of the line like we thought. Like this nest continues deeper.
You rub the back of my neck. When that thing screamed at you, did you feel anything?
It hurt my head.
Yes, I did as well. Yes, it was extremely unpleasant. Kind of a piercing pain throughout my brain and neck, yes. Just my whole head. Felt rather terrible.
The question is, how deep do we go before we turn back and look for medical help? I don't know how much longer we're going to last
Honestly,
on our own.
we originally came here to find the missing people, right?
Right, that's true.
Yes.
We found the missing people and we found the cause. I think it would be a wise idea to return and stock up and properly come back knowing now what we do. However,
We were sent here to save some children, though, and I haven't seen any children yet. It disturbs me to think that there might be children locked inside a pod somewhere trying to, in stasis or trying to get out or gods know what. There's only so much we can do.
I did use my my healing potion during the fight. Do you have any left, or did you guys use all yours?
I've got one that I didn't manage to use. Hold it up.
If we need it, I do have another poultice. Is anyone bleeding rather badly? I could.
I think as long as I take a rest, I can bind up my wounds a little bit. I'm okay.
All right.
a short rest might be in order if you want to keep moving on throughout this area.
No, I think that, yes, I could use a bit of a rest as well. At least to bandage up some of these things. Those mandibles were pretty bloody awful. They really ripped at the old skin there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Resting is probably for the best.
I don't think these acid scars are going to go away anytime soon, but that's the war. It'll be the first time I get scars, so something to remember this place by.
Indeed. Alright.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a short rest. Okay. Cool. One hit die heals me up.
I had to use 2. Unfortunately, I rolled a 4 on my first one. I was like, I should use the second one, and then the second one I rolled max on. And I was like,
Of course.
it's like, dang it! That could have been the first one I rolled.
Okay, so yeah, you guys kind of space yourselves out, looking around the room here, and you can see the nest is comprised of, as I'm sure you guys kind of take a minute to look around, it's primarily animal bones, lots and lots of animal bones kind of form the bulk of it, and then occasional set of an identifiable larger human skull or something spread out in there. But it seems like the bulk of this thing's diet has been various types of animals. Deer, there's some antlers and stuff spread in there, big mass of it. And then spread kind of across the floor around this place is just a mass of bones kind of layered all over the place.
Since it's burning and cooking, does it smell good?
I think that would be, let's think, what would that be, a wisdom check? I don't know. Yeah, sure.
I'm curious if it smells edible.
I would say, there's occasional moments where
Things spit ass, and
yeah,
you probably
a little-
cleaned the bones off.
a little scrap of fur or meat that's left somewhere does, but this goopy bile that surrounds it, when it eventually gets hot enough to burn off a bit, it kind of comes off in this thick plume of rather nasty smell.
Oh, I apologize. I meant the little babies and the brood mother thing that we killed.
Yeah,
Dude, they smell good when we burn them.
That actually smells equally terrible. Yeah, they all smell pretty awful. Yeah, very.
Can I roast a piece and
Sure, yeah.
give it a bite?
Yeah, give it a shot. You go for one of the smaller drones, or you're gonna tear off a.
Sure, I'll look at it. I'm like,
Yeah,
you hear me mumbling about crabs?
that should be all right.
And I'll give a little crab leg tear out of it.
Alright, while you're doing that, Grim's actually gonna see if he can harvest anything fun from the brood mother. No, he can't. He kind of cuts at it a bit with his dagger, but as he's cutting around, it just starts glooping out this, nasty greenish blood over the purple skin, and he just goes like, "Oh, it's all right. I don't need it. I don't need it. It's fine." He just kind of turns
So you
away.
hear like a Nestle Crunch Bar noise.
into the leg.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, kind of munch on it.
Imagine it's like bad shrimp.
Yeah, it's got it's a little more like that burp vial in the back of your throat.
Yeah.
You get a real nasty one, along with the leftover burnt cinders of a fire. So it's like a combination of coal and acidic bile in your throat. You're like, ugh, chewing, and once you swallow it down, you feel make a Constitution saving throw, I guess. With advantage against poison.
I bit it to find out how it tastes.
Oh,
Didn't mean I was gonna swallow it.
It's
So I'm
terrible.
like,
yeah, it's
Oh
terrible.
no, you're supposed to just.
Yeah, it's real bad.
it's just spit it back out.
Yeah, real bad.
Worthless alive, even more worthless when dead.
Lunatics will.
Do we have any of our rations left over from
Yeah.
our equipment? Okay, I'll pull out one of those,
Yeah, get a little.
and then I'll start munching on the horrible MRI ration that it might be, which now feels incredibly pleasant after what it was recently in my palate.
Yeah, definitely wash that taste out of your mouth. And
Hey Dustin, one thing I'm going to do with this character, I don't know if you want to do it with yours too, but I'm going to keep note of every time I get dropped to 0 hit points, and it'll be like a scar. So I'm just going to keep note of that, so I have like some acid burn scars.
Oh,
So if you want to do that too, it could be kind of fun.
Well, I got knocked out from it screaming at me. What scar would that be? Just my hearing's going bad?
emotional.
It was psychic damage, so you could have like headaches.
Bad dreams.
Yeah, maybe some bad dreams.
That seems like a fairly nightmarish thing to have happen to you. Yeah, so you guys, I don't know if you inspect any of the other carcasses and things.
Just the animals?
Yeah, or anything else around the room, but
Other than cooking them.
yeah, slowly cooking them one by one. Yeah, but eventually it doesn't take long to see that these things also have similar scars on the back of their neck, sliced open, and various stages of being healed up around it.
Is there any that look extremely fresh?
Yeah. they're
Carve it
a
to
little
those
more.
specific ones.
Yeah. So you want to cut open the neck and take a look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead and cut open and kind of peel it back and look in there. Make a perception check.
Ooh. Not my forte. Oh, nice. Rolled an 18, so 17.
Okay. So yeah, as you're kind of looking in there, similar to before, you see the. It's almost like a thin ribbon that entwines portions of the spinal column, and you kind of are tracing it up this time as you're looking, and you manage not to sever anything, but you trace it up to the base of the skull, where it goes under the skull, and you can kind of dig out a little bit more of that skin just carefully and peel it away. And as you do that, you see a small little nubbin point coming out of the skull that goes and goes deeper into the skull.
I'll just keep that information to myself, and then promptly smash the skull.
Okay. Yeah, you start, and it's, you got this.
Now I know what the
badger.
psychic nightmare is.
You got this badger, and you kind of like pull back a little horrified, and just stomp on it, and it takes a couple, good firm dwarven boot stomps, and it cracks and smooshes under it, and you can look down and kind of move through it, and as you do, you can see smushed inside amongst the brain matter of this creature a small 1 to 2 inch length kind of worm looking creature with these small kind of cilia and extended arms off the side. Very small kind of critter.
Okay. Well, I hope that we should go see a professional healer as soon as we can.
What's that?
Oh, just time of the essence.
Oh, alright. I'm feeling quite a bit better now. I mean, I don't know that...
If this place goes on much longer, then I opt to heading home and coming back.
Right. Yes, where is everyone's home, actually? I mean, my home is actually quite far away. I don't know that I'd be able to get back there. It took me some time to get... Well,
Bit of a figure of speech. I meant back to town and
right.
find a proper healer.
Gotcha. It would probably be a good idea to try and figure out some of what we're all doing here, I suppose. Guess we got a bit of indication from Dakren's letter, but yes, it's a bit vague on the details. Chester, yes.
I'm gonna look at that letter again. What does it say again? It's from
It is from General
From-
Westfall. General Westfall, a guy you had a passing familiarity with while you were in the army. Just saying, I need your assistance. Please report to my estate in White Fork as soon as possible.
I still want to just go a little bit farther. I mean, we can always run out if we have to. We know the way out. It's not, it's not blocked off or anything. I say we keep going down a little bit farther. If things go south, we're definitely, there's no shame in running, especially given our state. Then, but I mean, if the kids are just out of sight down that tunnel hanging from a pod or something, I'd love to just hate to turn my back on them, when we're that close and there's no way of knowing. So,
Fair point.
but I mean,
Right. Okay. How do we want to do this? It didn't seem to love the fire, I suppose. Torches out, and not that I needed to see in the dark, but
me neither. But
Well,
yeah,
let's
I think that's a good idea.
move quickly then and stealthily.
all right.
Start heading down the back entrance.
Well, I'll go ahead if you guys want. I can see really well in the dark, and I could sort of go on ahead just to make sure that, just outside of our firelight. in case I know.
I can see in the dark as well. And
Not as
honestly,
good as I can.
Well,
True,
I'd be more than happy to let
but
you two
you're
take
not
the
as
lead.
quiet as my soft dwarvish feet.
That is what
True as well.
dwarves are known for, I've heard.
Maybe you'd best go on ahead then.
Right.
We'll stay back here. I'll take that same. Well, that torch is burnt out after this short rest. I'll take another torch, and you go on ahead just outside the firelight. Hopefully, they'll focus on us and move right past you, and we can flank them if they do try to attack us. Seems like a tactically sound place at any rate.
All right.
So
Yeah, you guys start
Forward.
moving ahead.
Out.
Stealth checks for everyone?
For me or for everyone? Since I'm moving further ahead of both of you.
I'm assuming
Everyone else.
everyone would like to move stealthily.
kind of separate from us, but I think it's still good for us to be stealthy too. So. Ooh,
25.
18.
25 for Branbrek. 18 for you, Dakren?
Yep.
Okay, you guys move ahead and make your way down. Branbrek, you're out in front, and you can see this moves slowly down. So it's just in the floor, the tunnel. It angles down rather steeply at first and descends, and then slowly curves to the right as it goes down, and then levels out after a little bit. And it's a significant walk, actually. You find yourself moving about 10 minutes along at this descent before it levels out ahead of you. And at this point, you, looking ahead, come into, you can see up ahead a glimmer of light in the distance. And you're kind of a little turned around on where your position is, but as you move your way around and you see this faint glimmer of light ahead, you can hear in the distance the faint roar of water up ahead of you. And as you stealthily move forward into this room, looking around, you come into a smaller hemispherical room, again kind of domed out, smaller than before though. And at the foot of this, you see water extending up about halfway into this hemispherical room, and a small opening in the rock ahead of you, and you can see the lake out in front of you, and a small exit going outward, and you can see the water kind of lapping up against this shore as it dips down underneath this entrance. So this arched entrance about 8 foot high, not terribly large, but just kind of tucked away there, and all this mist coming in around, you can see it's like either very near the waterfall or perhaps right under it. You can hear the noise coming from the other side of this thing, and off to the side, tied to this small shore, is a rowboat, a small rowboat tied up there, and it's just kind of pulled up onto the shore off to the left as you walk into this room, this chamber, I should say, cavern.
And there's no divergence or anything. It's just there's this waterfall that I can hear or see/hear, and then behind the waterfall where I'm at is like a small pond-like.
Yeah. It looks like it has been opened out to the surface of the lake, so the height of the water is level with, obviously the height of the lake outside. And looking into the water, you can see the ground drops down steeply to go towards this opening. It's got an arched kind of hole there, hemisphere, kind of half circle, about 8 foot high to get out, and you can see the lake through this, but there's a lot of mist and roiling mist around it. So.
Okay.
Much like before, the inner portion of these walls have a coating of frost on there, and it is quite cold in this room. And you look around, and there's apparently nobody in here.
Other than the rowboat.
Other than the rowboat.
I'll wait for the others to catch up.
Okay, yeah. They're pretty close behind, so everyone kind of files into the room looking around. And yeah, you guys are all together.
Well, I don't see your kids.
Well, bittersweet, I guess. No more monsters to fight. Guess this is as good as any way to get back to town, then. We just
Through the boat?
sail across the lake?
I suppose so. I guess if you two, or one of you three, take the oars, I don't think they're quite sized for me, but I'd appreciate the effort.
Do you think we can actually...
What's that?
Do you remember how to get back to the town?
If we're actually by Galen Falls, I don't remember coming to this town. Last I recall, I was coming up to White Fork. I'd been heading towards White Fork for a couple of weeks, actually. I was approaching White Fork.
Once we get past the waterfall into the lake, I'm sure we'll be able to see town off the shore or something, and we can go that direction. And unless you want to go all the way back up and hike down the mountain.
I don't know how far that would be exactly, but it seemed like we were pretty high up before. So yeah, it seems quite the journey.
Already this far, I say we just start rowing and see how far we can get. Have everything we need?
Have rations for a few more days. Should be fine.
What should we do with Chester?
I think we should bring him back. He deserves a proper burial at the very least. If it weren't for him, we'd be dead or insane or something. So...
Alright, I guess, Hargus and I could go grab him real quick. We'll be back in just a minute.
We'll prepare the rowboat for sail.
Alright, appreciate it.
Make sure it's seaworthy and all that.
Alright. And yeah, so Hargus and Jasper go marching back up the top there.
While that happens. So, have you always had those powers?
As we're like loading cargo into the rowboat and stuff, I just kind of look at you and I'm like, I'd rather not talk about it if that's all right with you. I'm not proud of them. They have gotten us out of a couple scrapes, but yeah, not my proudest quality, to be honest.
Just my opinion, but using your talents for how you use your talents is what's important, not necessarily what they are or where they come from. Take it from...
And how does it seem like I use them?
Well, use them in a scrap, use them to help others. Seems perfectly fine to me.
That actually makes Dakren look really pleased, and like he relaxes a lot.
After all, some people wonder about, and I
weird.
start rolling a coin between my fingers and make it disappear, and then come back. Some talents you learn aren't necessarily looked well upon in high circles, right? But if you use them for the right reasons, gain a lot of respect from those people.
Well, Branbrek, can I confide in from one soldier to another?
You may speak. Be at ease.
I don't know if any of these other fellows would understand this sort of thing, but I got into. I was an officer in the Third War, and quite the quite the bad run-in with some hobgoblins. It was all my fault. I was overambitious, but they ambushed us. And all my companions except me were killed. And I sort of reached out into the cosmos asking for help. And a voice answered, promised to bring them all back in exchange for a lifetime of servitude, and accepted. Shouldn't have done it, but I accepted. And whatever voice answered back kept its end of the deal for a while, but our way back, those same companions of mine fell for other reasons. Sickness, accidents. It was ultimately an enormous cosmic joke for whoever answered, and so now I have these powers that keep growing and tempting me to use them, but as long as I can just, use them for good and keep them at bay, then I can keep my soul. So,
well,
it is.
Soldiers are taught to do whatever they can to accomplish the mission. It was very common during that war to hear people of resulting to means less than savory for trying to achieve victory. I was branded as a hero at the end of that one. Got a medal and renown returning home. Me, a tavern wench from a terrible, terrible parenthood. Left abandoned and then joined into a noble house. It's all a joke if you really think about it. But I just do what I can. And honestly, as long as it serves the sense of justice that I live by, I'm willing to go the mile beyond. But that's enough of that. Sounds like the others are coming back. We'll talk more on this later.
To be here with you, Branbrek. That was really some good fighting, and definitely respect you as a war brother. And if we ever, and I don't know about you, but if I ever see another hobgoblin, I don't think any of this honor applies to them.
I'm not one to judge a book by their cover so much as by their content.
Not hobgoblins. Not for me. Every single one of them. Just bloodthirsty. No sense of mercy at all. I don't know. If there are any good ones out there, then the ones I've met during the war ruined it for all of them. But that's just me.
I imagine they're as rare as an evil elf.
Yeah, looks like they're coming back, so.
As they entered...
is the rowboat, seaworthy? Is it good to go?
Yeah, so as you're kind of pulling it down towards the water, it's got kind of that flat backward area to it, and you can see there's a tarp under there. And as you kind of flip the tarp over and check underneath it and pull the oars out to the side, under the tarp is a fairly large chest that's stacked there.
What do we have here?
And you actually reach over and lift it up, and it's not even locked. It's just there on the side. You flip it open, and there are some very fine clothes stacked in there, very, very fancy silks. There's a selection of jewelry and things like that. A few bags, pouches of gold. In total, you could say you've got 5 rings, 2 necklaces, and 56 gold.
Now, who could this belong to, I wonder?
What size is the clothing meant for? What size of people?
Human. Yeah, it's human sized.
Adult human or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you guys remember also at this point, oh yeah, there were other people in those pods up in the hallway too. As
Oh, I
There
thought
was
they
a
cleared
noble
them
one.
out.
yeah, and you're looking through it, and they are very well made, very fancy clothes, but you can tell they're like traveling clothes. You know, they look like the type a very fancy person would wear when they are traveling around from place to place. It's
In other words, pompous and overbearing.
yep, yeah, very very fancy. It's like
Any
super high class Ugg boots or something.
any heraldry on the clothes? Any signets on the rings?
The rings do have signets that you could make out on there. It's a crown of roses over the small figure of a tree. It's like a small crown of roses in a tree, and the other one is like a scythe with a sprig of wheat next to it. So they're just various different types of what look to be signet rings.
Anything I recognize? Anything ring a bell?
Go ahead and make a history check.
18.
18. So yeah, they don't look familiar specifically. They've all got kind of generic elements that are, common. But yeah, nothing like oh yeah, I recognize that family. There's nothing that specific that you would think to.
I don't trust my memory right now anyway. Well, best we can do is get back to Galen Falls or White Fork, see if these belong to anyone. Give some closure to who's looking behind it. A noble woman we found in a pod up there who the madness had already taken her, and so these might have been hers. Like maybe she stumbled into this area unwittingly and then met her up there.
Right. As Hargis and Jasper come walking in, you can see Jasper's kind of got his Chester's legs kind of held there, and Hargis seems to be doing most of the lifting, and Jasper kind of just is token carrying the legs as they walk. But they kind of hear you talk about that. Actually, yes, what are we going to do with the rest of them in the pods up there? Do we come back for them? They were quite uncooperative.
I feel like we've done enough. And we've saved those two fishermen.
We can send
Don't
the
think
rest
we're
of the.
capable
They can send the rest of the city guard to take care of the rest.
Right.
People.
Yeah.
We've taken care of the
Report this
main
place.
threats.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Is this going to work for us then? The boat here?
Well,
Seaworthy to me, and it'll hold the four of us plus Chester just fine, I think. Much more than that, so luckily I'm glad the fishermen went the other way.
A little crowded in there otherwise. All right, let's hop in, I guess. I'll sit with.
is this the fisherman's boat then?
Guess it's
Not if it has this noble people's chest in it. I'm guessing it belonged to that woman. She was of a higher class, I believe. The fisherman said, anyway. So the fisherman must have fallen down into the water and then been taken up here. And then I'm guessing that the woman arrived here within this boat and never left. But maybe we can find out more. If we can find out who her family was, they might have more information. I don't know.
The fisherman said that they had finished up for the night or the day, and it was coming on evening, and he said they were pulling their boat up with ropes, and one of the ropes gave out, and the pylon or something that he had tied the rope to gave out, and they went crashing into the lake. It's a weird sort of fishing that requires, I don't know, a winch and pulley system to get out of the water. But
Yeah, they said something about the cliffs being pretty steep. hopefully this will all make sense once we get out of here.
Right. Okay. I guess I'll sit in the bow with Chester then.
I'll do the rowing as long as I can, anyway.
Yeah, as you're looking at it, it looks like someone could sit in that area where the chest was and take the tiller, and the other, you could have 2 people rowing as well. So it looks like you could awkwardly do.
We have 4 rowers.
2. You could have 2 rowers, 1 on each side, and 1 person at the till.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right, Branbrek, you want to help me row then?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Marcus moves over to the tiller then, and then grabs it, and you guys kind of push out into the water, start rowing it around to face the exit.
Stroke.
As you move up towards the exit, the roar of the waterfall starts to just take over all of your auditory perception, and you start moving into this very small tunnel where it's cut into the rock, where it's just the archway moving out, and you can kind of see the ground just drop into darkness below you, underneath the water, and you start feeling that cold mist on your face as you go through this about 5-foot long portion of tunnel where it goes out into the open water. You have to pull the oars up next to you real tight as you come in. It can't quite be fully extended, but you can kind of short paddle row through this small opening, and it changes from that roar just around the echoing window cavern, small tunnels right next to you, and then opens up into the lake, and you see looking in front of you, just cascading into the water about 100 foot in front of you, just this torrent of water just piling into it, and the boat's kind of rocking and shaking, and you see it just pouring into the water. Looking left and right, you can see it's almost equal distant to the sides of where the extent of the waterfall goes, so you can pick a direction, but it might be very slightly less distance to the right. So you're kind of looking that way, and you're right. So you kind of turn to the right and start heading what you think to be northward up along this cliff edge, and you can look up and you see just this sheer wall of rock extending vertically upward into the waterfall where it comes off the plateau high above you. And you start moving along underneath this waterfall, this huge thick veil. It's pretty bright outside. It seems like it's probably around noon, actually. You guys were in there walking around and took a break, and all this commotion from when you woke up in the morning until now, it seems like several hours have passed, and it is probably sometime around noon. And as you eventually exit to the north into the open lake area, you can see that sheer cliff wall extends farther north, and you can just see on the horizon where maybe about 3 football fields away or so, a wall far in the distance, and it curves around to the west and curves around, and you can see how it's just these very sheer walls that hold the lake inside of it, and it's like this massive granite bowl just carved smooth and just carved directly into the stone, the waterfall just pounding into it, generation after generation, year after year, has just carved out this massive lake, and you can see it just surrounding everywhere. And as you kind of finally paddle your way and row your way out beyond the waterfall and look at the extent, you can see a faint ring of trees kind of just beyond the bowl, the large steep valley rising to the north, mountains to the west, and from where you are near the edge of where the waterfall hits the lake, far almost due west now, slightly south, is a ring of pylons that come up out of the water, and big slats of wood that are stretched between these pylons, and it forms this little hemispherical bulge out into the lake. And you can see behind that a little sandy shore that is the only break in this entire lake, cliffside lake, kind of that you can see. It's like a small dip in the rim of the bowl that allows access out on the other side, to the far west side of the lake. And you guys are basically on the northeast side of the lake. So as you kind of curve around and start rowing towards that, you look around the lake now, and in the distance you can see other boats kind of scattered around the lake, just at various points. They seem to be sticking a lot to the edges of the lake, and there's actually some not too far, a few hundred yards away from you to the north, like moving along the edge of the lake. There's only one or two very large boats out in the center of the lake, and numerous smaller ones out on the edges. But as you start rowing across and angling a little bit southward now to get across this large lake, you approach those pylons and where they extend outwards. And it takes a solid half hour of pretty decent rowing to get out that way. But eventually you come up to these pylons, and extending across them, rising up out of the water, 50 feet out of the water, and then attaching each pylon to pylon, you can see massive braided steel cables going from one to the other, and then big slats of wood all the way down into the water itself, and just rings around this, like basically a wall protecting this small sandy beach that you saw on the other side. And there's only one opening right there in the front, and you start making your way towards that, and as you're getting close to it, you see at the top of the two pylons that are at the sides of where the entry point is, there's like a small deck with a little ladder going on, and a small walkway that rings around the top of this wall that's coming up out of the water. And at the top there's a man just kind of sitting there on this little chair. It's like a small 5x5 platform with a little wall around it. He's got a big old crossbow as you guys are approaching, and as you're getting close, he's like, "Hey, what you doing down there?"
Got wounded and dead here. We need to get back. We need to get into port. Please let us through.
What's your ship then? I don't recognize it.
We found this abandoned on the other side of the waterfall.
Okay. Yeah. So
Been imprisoned there for some time. We need medical attention quick.
Do we have any papers or otherwise to prove that we were adventurers? I have something similar, but I don't really want to show that medal off.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we've got our military medals probably,
Yeah,
but
you got that kind of stuff. There's nothing specific that as you like as a mercenary adventurer for hire kind of a thing. But as
Just for clarity, this is not the town that we got our request from?
you guys kind of
not sure.
yeah, based
No.
on what Chester said, he said you were by Galen Falls, which you guys did a history check and recalled. Galen Falls is a high mountain town right up in the foothills of the Frostspine Mountains. That it's high mountain town. Not a ton of people go there very frequently, but it's got some big kind of fishing industry for the snow crab that's there. Very expensive, very indulgent kind of food product. And looking around, you guys, this all checks out to be Galen Falls, which none of you've been to really. You don't really know a ton about it, but it seems to be this deep incised lake with cliff walls all around it. But he's kind of looking down at you. This port is full.
Sir, do you know the half hills?
Half hills. He looks at a list and goes, "Do you have a fishing license? I don't have them down as one of the licensed people that use the port here."
Fisherman. Do you know Shannon or Thomas.
Thomas, let's see if he knows.
Oh wait, I don't think they were licensed.
I'm more curious. I never met them, so I don't know.
No, they're not on.
Or I didn't pay attention to them.
Not on any list. And listen, you know, we can't keep you from fishing the lake, but this is Mr. Galen's dock. You can't, you know how it works. You don't just come up here and use his dock. If you want to get a license through Dank to use the port, you can do that. But you know, we don't just let you use it for free.
Well, how about we give you the boat, because we're not going to be using it after this.
Yeah, with all due respect, sir, we're not fishermen. Do we look like fishermen? We were.
I assume we're still covered in gore.
You look like
War.
you look like piss poor fishermen.
We
Is what you
found
look
this
like. Listen,
Oh,
if you
thanks
want,
for
I
that.
can issue you a docking permit for the day if you like. It's the same for anybody. So you want to pay your 10 gold, you can hop on. We'll get you in.
Sure, that's fine. I dig into the chest and take 10 gold out and
He, as you come
sit
up,
up
he
to him.
Goes off to the side, and there's like a winch with a basket on it, and he just kind of flips a lever and goes and splashes into the water and goes, "All right, 10 gold."
10
I'll,
gold
put
for
a
knocking
handful
at a
of gold
port
on-
inside of a fishing community
Yeah. So
and
I'd say
this,
Branbrek, you know intuitively.
per day.
You know intuitively that is a ridiculously high rate to charge. I mean,
Yeah, I lean to you, Branbrek, and I'm like, I know it's ridiculous, but this is
I
not
mean,
our money anyway.
Does
Like, we just need to
this city connect to
go.
the shoreline at all?
so you can kind of see through this area to where the docks are up ahead, and you can see like a small kind of. I mean, for the most part, you just see the docks from here, but you can see some structures lining kind of the area beyond the sandy shoreline where it drops in to the dock area. Yeah, so you can see like some structures up ahead.
I'm debating. Hold on, I gotta read some background stuff.
Are you holding off?
I'm kind of I'm hesitating a little bit and just sort of letting you think, Branbrek. And I'm like, if you have a better plan, fine, but I don't feel bad about spending somebody else's money. It's not gonna. We just need to get to shore. That's all I care about. 1 second, sir.
Yep, I got all day.
Just kind of wait for Branbrek.
Fine, I'll do it. I'll pull out the medal that I got from the war that shows that I'm a hero of the most recent war.
Okay.
And like, you're really gonna charge me for using your dock after all the things I did for this land and saved it so your people could enjoy a nice peaceful day and not be invaded by hobgoblins. You're really gonna do that rather than just let me board, not give you the boat for free when I'm not even a fisherman.
And he kind of like make a persuasion check.
Sure.
I'll kind of pull out a like threaded into the
Ooh,
I don't know what it's called.
ooh, 21.
21. Oh man.
Never mind.
All right.
I was gonna, but yeah, I'll just kind of flash. I have this like section of a torn banner that hangs from like the loop of my leather armor, and I just kind of show it as well. It shows the emblem of the Basilisk company platoon, so I'll just kind of show it as well and be like,
Between
war veteran.
between that for sure, he kind of like looks around. He goes, "All right, you're not fishing then, huh?
No.
All right.
The only thing that I've been fishing is monsters in the cave back there under the waterfall. We managed to get out of there.
All right.
Besides, what fishermen fish with no fishing poles and with a dead body?
Hey, listen, I don't claim to hang with the locals here, you know. So, but I just appreciate your service, and yeah, if you're not fishing, I think it's fine. Just if you leave the boat, they're gonna scrap it or take it for their own. So just be aware you don't have a docking permit. So if you want to keep the boat, you take it out of the water and you stow it somewhere. Because if you leave it here, it's not gonna keep, right?
Well,
Understood.
It's not like we need the boat, right?
Hey, yeah, it's up to you, gents. Anyway, appreciate your service. I served my time too, so yeah. Any kind of just
Well, good on you, sir. Thank you for your help and for your understanding. Be at ease. Have a good day.
good on you. Any kind of just
We move
crazy through.
we move on.
You guys keep rowing along and come into the other side of this barrier again that forms this bubble out into the lake. It's still curved. It's not like this shoreline is a deep inset bay or anything like that, and you can put together. That's why they had to build this very elaborate barricade around it. And it doesn't take much of a nature check to realize that depending on how the floodwaters upstream go, the amount of water and maybe the wind, and just a combination of a dam that might break up top with an ice flow or come smashing into this lake, the waves and tides that could come through if this weren't protected somehow would be just phenomenal. So this break that they've set up is the only thing protecting this very small sandy shore beyond where they've set the docks up against, again, like the only chip in a mug where people can kind of get out of this steep bowl that forms the lake. And as you guys come up to it, you can see one of the unoccupied docks there, where a number of other smaller boats are kind of stowed off to the side. It looks like you can make your way that way and pull up onto that dock there, kind of towards the north side of this dock area, which is, again, the far western point of the lake. And so you guys move along, just pull up next to the dock, and there's a small ladder that comes down off one of these points that you can tie to and just hike up the ladder.
I'm gonna look at the boat one more time real quick. Is there any indication of who this boat belongs to, or is there like an engraving of a seal on it, or
Nope.
a name painted on the side, or
Nothing. Nope, completely blank.
Particular type of cherry wood, particular to the nobility.
But yeah, as you think about that and start looking around at some of the other ships around there, you see these other small boats tied to the side, and all of them do have brief names or numbers on them. It'll be like Avantica's favor, and the sassy lady 01, and just all these little boat names.
Oh, as a note, I just realized my background trait was the fact that I'm a noble, so people recognize that I am of noble birth by the way I act, appear, and otherwise. You are welcome in high society. People assume you have the right to be wherever you are.
Yeah.
Common folk make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure.
We'll see how that pans out from town to town, but
right?
It definitely seemed a combination of things to work with this guy. So, yeah.
Mine is military rank feature, and so I assume the combination of those worked probably.
Yeah. You can secure an audience with a local noble if you need to. Is there a local noble here?
Well, there's...
This is that one gentleman.
Oh, we heard Galen, right?
Yeah, Galen.
Yeah, he was identified as the person. Essentially, he was like, hey, if you're with Galen, you can get in here, but you don't look like you're with Galen. So. Which is odd because that's the name.
Dare that peasant! I'm joking.
Yeah, that's the name of the falls too that they had said. They said this was Galen Falls, which seems a bit on the nose, but whatever. But as you pull up to the dock here and start unloading, are you gonna try and pull the dock into shore, or do you want to leave it on the dock here, or what do you want to do?
I'm gonna find somebody I can hawk it to.
Yeah, so walking around are more
Like a quartermaster or something that way.
more kind of human guys walking around here. You can see just kind of walking around, big puffy coats, big fur collars around them and hoods, walking around. Even it is noon here, but it is still pretty frigid outside. And it seems like if you're not doing heavy labor, you bundle up pretty tight. And so towards the back of this pier that extends outward, there's a guy basically sit up under a little shade structure, just kind of there under a chair, looking as you guys kind of start walking up the pier there towards where he's sitting.
Okay.
I'll carry Chester.
What about the chest? You gonna take that with you, or?
Oh, I'm dragging that. Separate that from a dwarven's hand. You're gonna.
You can kind of like pick it up, two-handed.
I mean, I have a +1 strength. Maybe it's a little bit hefty for me.
It's not too bad. It's not like full of gold or anything. So,
yeah.
It was just some clothes and a little bit of jewelry.
Man, luggage was so much worse back then.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, real quick, were the clothes female or male?
Mixture.
Like a dress? Or...
Yep.
Well, that either means we have a cross-dresser or...
Yep. Mixture of both. And there were.
It is interesting. There were 5 ranks. Like, wonder why they were carrying these, but interesting.
How many guards did we kill?
Total of 7 guards, and then there were various other pods throughout the place.
Okay. All right.
I guess you could roll a history to see how many other pods there were, if you wanted to.
I'm good. I wouldn't have remembered anyways.
All right, so you guys,
Yeah, so do you want to talk to that person then, Branbrek?
Yeah. See if we can get rid of this so it doesn't cause us any more trouble. You there, sir?
Hello, how is it going? And you can kind of see this, looks like kind of a portly fella, sitting there in a comfy chair. He's got a ledger ahead of him. He goes, yeah, what,
You the quartermaster of this dock?
I just keep track of the boats, yeah. What are you guys looking for?
I have a boat I wish to sell. Where can I go about doing that business?
Oh, you could go, you wish to sell, your dinghy rowboats there, or something bigger out in the water?
Yes.
Or...
Something of a dinghy.
Oh, okay. You could go to the shipyards and ask over there, or I suppose someone in town might want to buy. I don't. We don't usually sell boats here. I just handle docking and monitor loads of cargo, that sort of thing. People sketch for the day if you are paying for it. Yes.
Do you want to purchase a boat for 2 silver?
I don't go on the water myself. Sorry, it's much safer here on the shore.
Think about it. You could offer a rental service to those at the docks that don't have a boat, as part of your ledger and quartermaster services.
So very tempting. I thank you for the offer, but no, I am not interested. If you would like, though, I'm sure there's someone in town who could probably use a new boat if they would like a boat.
Are you
I
dissatisfied with it? What?
It's just Rick.
Listen, I'm having a bit of fun here.
Yeah, but I mean, do you remember the backs of our necks?
Fine. I'm just trying to acquire a bit more lucre for that problem.
2 silver is worth all this for you?
You scrounge where you can.
Well, anyway, if you wish to have someone come claim the boat, if someone sells it, I will write down the dock number here. You are in dock 1, and you are berth number 16. You've paid for the day's docking fees, yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. You writes a small ticket and then signs the bottom of it and rips it off and hands it to you. He goes, here you are. If you wish for someone else to claim it, just have them return with the ticket and they will be able to take it. Otherwise, it will be, let's see, the time is... So yes, it will be requisitioned tomorrow morning.
Perfect. That works out great for us either way. Thank you.
Have a great day.
And I walk off with our new docking ticket.
Have a good one. And he kind of closes the ledger and gets a little thermos and starts sipping on it. Seems very content to just sit there and take notes all day and look at the water.
We were lucky to run into him.
And yeah, as you guys make your way up across, it's a pretty small shore area, and it is sandy, but it's also mostly gravel too. So a small bit of sand towards the bottom, and then quickly into a gravelly upper portion. You kind of walk your way up through there, and as you get up out of the main portion of this bowl-like lake area, you can see again left and right of this small pier dock area, the cliffs just quickly come out and drop into the lake again, and you can see it's very clear that this is the only easy way to get in and out of the lake. And then as you get to the top of that and start looking around now, you find yourself in a larger high mountain kind of valley area, and you see to the left and right of you some kind of rustic A-frame structures. They are solidly put together. Each of them, you notice, has a lakeside A-frame wall that is much more sturdy and buttressed and damaged looking than the side that is away from the lake. So it looks like whatever these things are built to endure, the side that faces the lake is a lot more built up than the side that is not. And looking off to your right, you see smaller looking structures, like 1-story and 2-story max. And then looking off to your left, there's larger structures, but that are also open underneath, and you can see a number of boats like spaced out under there, and it looks like in various stages of construction or repair. And adjacent to that, another large building where there are cargo like wagons and various boxes of cargo and stuff being taken from the boats, loaded up, and moved towards these larger buildings, which you can kind of intuit are some sort of shipping or packing for what is taken from the lake. So everyone's kind of moving from their boats with these wheelbarrows and small wagons, hand wagons, and going towards that kind of packing facility or something like that over there. And then on the right side, the north side, is lower, small buildings that look like more like a small business or something residential area, kind of stacked up along the way there. And then far to the west,
are there any
is a much larger
temples in sight?
Sorry, what was that?
Are there any temples in sight?
Nothing that stands out as a temple right here. These buildings are all, like I said, pretty rough. Farther to the west, it looks, you can see like nicer looking buildings farther away, and there you can, from this angle, see kind of like a half circle of a curved town kind of facing towards you this way. More A-frame buildings and things like that, but from a distance here you can see also more decoratively placed trees and things like that. So it's like the farther you get from the lake, the nicer things are, and there's kind of this no man's land from where you see these little concentration of buildings near the lake, and then a kind of no man's land of rough turf and kind of rugged grass that fills the intermediate area. And then it looks like another town, like a much kind of nicer, more established town off that way. So there might be something up there. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell from what you just seen around here.
Yeah, let's keep going, I guess.
So yeah, you
Up to the wealthier town, I think.
the nicer portion of town. Okay. Yeah. So you guys
Yeah, I think.
walk the 10-minute journey kind of from the town here, and you can see those small buildings off to your right as you pass. And you kind of pass near them as you're going out. It looks like they're on their way from the dock there. And you can see there's a small general store. Looks like a fisherman store, and it's just let's see. That's, you see the ice house with a small, like on a plaque coming out. It looks like a small shack out on a big white field. Just a tiny little shack with a big fluffy cloud coming out of it. And then there's next to that, bait and tackle there. And as you go through there, again, pretty rough-looking buildings. You can kind of pass those and move towards the big town there. And as you come up eventually to the large portion of town, you can see, again, it's kind of this circular collection of buildings around a central hill that comes up out of the ground, a very rocky hill that comes up out of the center portion of the town. And looking around, you see people moving around, just kind of everyday life, mostly humans and the occasional halfling. Yeah, so you can kind of look around and you get to this main street now, and it looks like a quiet little mountain town. You walk between the shops to get into this central portion, and looking around you can see various shops and things like that around you. And yeah, it looks like a full-fledged little mountain town up here.
We'll just stop somebody who's walking by and just say, excuse me, we're looking for a healer. Kind of urgent. Do you have is there a temple nearby or a physician's room or something?
Certainly. You could see, I suppose Father Bertrand would be available. He is to the northern portion of town over there. If you wish to see him.
That's not
I'm sorry?
nice. Northern portion, you said?
Yes, you can just follow this path.
North?
It will curve around the Heartstone Hill, and then just take that off to the left.
And Father Bertrand?
Bertrand, yes, Bertrand.
Oh, I'm looking for Bertrand.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
If you have
Gotcha.
a feeling, I'm sure you can take care of it. Yep. Good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Let's find Father Bertrand.
Okay, so you walk around to the north, and you can see the town is fairly nice. It's simple, but people walking around seem happy, and they're all kind of talking and going about their business. And as you move around to the northern portion of the town here, you can see the off on the other side of the road. But yeah, pretty much the northernmost building here on this circle is a similarly constructed A-frame building, but out on the front of it, at kind of the apex of the A-frame, there is a metallic gold, not like brass maybe, or maybe gold, but some sort of that color, burnished silver, kind of brightly shimmering in the sunlight of radiating kind of sun symbol at the peak there. And
Just gonna kind of look around at the view from up here. Is this higher than the dock town you're
you
at?
can see,
I'm just gonna kind of look around the lake now.
Yeah. So you can see into the lake. Lots of boats out there moving around. Not a lot of very large ones. Smaller ones, sticking kind of to the edges like you saw before, and then some larger ones out in the center.
Looking around, is anything ringing a bell as to where from this direction, White Fork is, or where I was last, or
Yeah, you could do
anything like that?
Check. It's not super hard DC, but maybe you'll get some extra info out of it.
No, natural one. I'm tired
Yeah, it's tough.
and just want to find a healer, so
You just know that
rowing for like an hour, and I'm just like, ugh.
pretty tired. You just know that Galen Falls is in the mountains, roughly east of Whitefolk. That's about all you know.
All right. You want to do anything, Branbrek?
But we were off to see Father Bertrand, and he's not here.
I haven't.
We haven't gone inside.
Ah,
Let's at least sort of.
I'm rapping on
give
the
him
door.
a chest, see if he can do anything about our scars on our necks, and then definitely use a drink, I'm sure.
Okay. So yeah, you guys make your way in, and you kind of open the door, and it's into it's dim and cool in here. You can see a few sconces with candelabras radiating outward, 5-pointed kind of candelabras, each of them sort of a sunburst sort of pattern, kind of spaced throughout on the sides of the walls. And then towards the front there is that same kind of design, but bigger on the back wall of this sunburst pattern on the back wall.
Is this a symbol of a god?
Yeah, the Dawnfather is kind of he's the god of the harvest.
Cool.
And the sunrise. And, a very commonly worshipped god, well known in these parts. At this point in the day, there's like one old man kind of sitting in the front, just sort of praying quietly to himself there on one of the pews, and towards kind of the middle on the other side, there's an older lady sitting there by herself, also just quietly praying to herself.
Oi!
She kind of startles and looks over her shoulder, and she's like, quiet there. Shush. And goes back.
Is Father Bertrand in here?
And you can see the older guy at the front's looked around, and he kind of turns around, silver hair kind of pulled back, and he looks at you guys, and he's like, yes, I'm Father Bertrand. Lovely to meet you.
I imagine we look like a right bloody mess.
Yes, you're all right. You injured. You seem to have gone through quite the troubles there. You okay?
We've been through quite the ordeal, and unfortunately this halfling didn't make it. We were wondering if you have a proper burial here. I don't know if this is a proper...
And he comes up to you guys. I've seen this young man before. He was in here just the other day.
His name was Chester Halfhill. I don't know if that rings a bell to you, Father.
We spoke briefly. Chester seemed a good sort. This was several days ago now. He said he was going to take on some rather dangerous goings-on, and sought to light a candle for the Dawnfather's protection. Oh, how terrible!
Oh, he did take dangerous acts, and we owe our lives to him now, actually, which is why we brought brought his body to you. But anything you can tell us about him? We seem to have lost some of our memories of the past few days, and he seems to be the only link to what happened a few days ago for all of us. He knew my name, and I didn't know his, and so information you might have.
That's quite serious. We didn't talk about the details. He was just said that he was off to go and just do some dangerous business is all. seemed rather nice young man, but what do you think? He said he was trying to find those Westfall chaps. That they'd come in, I think, made rather a show of it some time ago. But yes, he said that they were gone off or some such.
The Westfall children. Is General Westfall himself nearby?
They called them children. They were in the late teens. I think the boy was 19 or so. His sister was maybe 17. But yes, I suppose they acted much like children. Anyway, made quite the show of themselves around town. Them and their cohorts, as it were.
And is General Westfall himself in town?
I'm not aware of General Westfall. No. I wasn't aware. Is that their father?
Their father?
As far as I know, they were staying with them. Where they stayed anywhere. Anyway, they moved around quite a bit with some of the other wealthy kids, as I call them, the young party animals, as it were. Those chaps that like to go about and have their parties, that sort of thing. But yes, they made quite a show of themselves, as I said, and I think they were originally staying up at the Galen place, up the hill, for most of their time. Well, for some of their time, anyway. I doubt they wish to walk that great large hill after a night of carousing. Probably just stayed at one of their friends' houses there after that.
See. All right. Well, we'll have to see if we can find anything up there. So is there anywhere that you bury the dead nearby here? We'd like to make sure he gets a proper burial.
Yes. We can certainly. We have a plot around to the back. Yes, we can take care of the poor chap. It's very sad. What sort of? Are there ruffians about? Are there nailed jewels upon the road? What is going on here? It's quite concerning.
More of cultists with abominations.
What?
The short answer, sir, is we don't know exactly. Like I said, our memory seems to be aiding us. We don't feel there ourselves, but there were some monsters and strange beings behind the waterfall itself, actually, is where we found ourselves.
Does our halfling fellow, I forgot his name, Chester, does he have the incision on the back of his neck?
You quickly check and no, he does not.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah. I couldn't recall if that was the person that didn't.
The rest of you do.
I do remember beheading one, but I don't remember if we grabbed that or not.
As far as I know, you took it with you.
Yeah, I didn't see it in my inventory. I think I forgot to grab it. Oh yeah, I think I just forgot to add it to my inventory. I will produce the gross head and say they did something to us in there when we were unconscious.
Oh my! And you hear
and
behind you as a little old woman standing there like,
What is wrong with
and she's like, "Oh, Father, I won't stand for this sort of thing. Is this enough?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, Petunia. Please come back a bit later. There's some unfortunate business we have to take care of here." And she's just like, "Oh," and just walks out.
I like slug Branbrek in the shoulder, and I'm just like, "What is wrong with you, man?"
I'm just giving you a bewildered look, like, what did I do?
All right, well,
It's just a head.
and I'm sorry. You said this was
Military
a fellow who
yes.
attacked you, or had something to do with cultists, right?
Yes. To all of that.
Very well.
As far as we can tell, the big idea here is that whatever was done to these folk was also done to us. I took the liberty of inspecting certain corpses and found that there seemed to be some kind of parasite lodged into our skulls. I was wondering if you happen to know of a healing spell or know where we can find a cleric who can provide us with such services to remove such difficulties.
Parasite, that's nasty business. That,
Would you like to see it?
not here. Come, I have rooms for this sort of thing. Come along. And he kind of leads you to the back portion of the church, the temple. So there's the entry, and you walk across through all the pews, and you get to the back.
I look at Dakren, and I say, see? Straight to the point. Easiest way to take care of things.
Could have just shown him your own scar and not that head. That's all I'm saying.
You can't right well cut open my own head. I haven't.
It's nothing I haven't done before. After all, I didn't always live in a quiet mountain town, you know. And he kind of goes off
Oh,
to
really?
the back.
Do tell.
Oh, you know, the things we do when we're young. And he opens a door and kind of slides it open, and you can see it's like a small hallway off to the
Going
side.
to one of those horror stories, psychoanalyst like surgery rooms. it's
Only one way to-
it's just his pastime.
Come.
There's like bodies all over the
Come along.
place.
And he leads you
It's a mad
down
doctor.
a small row of like just a small hallway, and there's just 3 doors kind of spaced along the side, and he goes down to the 3rd one, and he goes, quiet through here if you please. I actually have other patients healing within, but come, we'll go down to this 3rd one. And he opens it. Inside is a very, very simple room, cot off to the side, a bench, kind of elevated bench off to the other side, and small wash basin, that sort of thing. And he says, I guess you could
I plop the head on the on the bench.
snap it up here. Excellent.
Heads or tails?
You know, normally I don't have to work on them when they're like this. Dear. It's like...
Well, I assume that it's easier to maneuver.
Not actually, you'd be surprised. You ever try and eat a frozen meatball, eh? It's like, where do you... You know, every time you take a poke at it, it just sort of rolls out of the way.
Oh, well then I'll hold it
That
for
would be
you.
excellent. And he kind of gestures you around to the front, positions it so you kind of got it by the head.
Frozen meatball.
Well, yes. Let's see here. I don't have any of my my tools with me, but give me a moment, if you will. I should go fetch them, along with something to wash my hands with afterwards. I'll be right back. And he kind of totters out the back and leaves you guys to your own devices for a moment.
Well, this has been quite
It's kind
pleasant.
of exchange looks with Branbrek, and I'm just like, this is not the kind of temple I was expecting, but I do feel that he seems to be capable. So
He feels similar to my line of work. I mean, previous line of work.
How do you
Really?
mean by that?
Oh, noble stuff.
You got a noble sort of impression from him.
I mean, didn't you?
I seem to be kind of disdainful of nobles in general, especially the Westfall teens. You know, seemed like he was, I don't know.
Which is why I
Oh,
say
there's
he has a
something.
much more noble personality than them.
I've had very little experience with any sort of nobility. I collect bugs.
It's not worth it, let me tell you. Strange fascinations, nothing but paranoia, perceptions skewed. conniving schemers out in public faces.
That sounds.
Just gonna kind of look around and use Eldritch Sight, kind of cover my eyes and like, or just kind of look around the room so that people don't see my eyes glowing red while I'm doing it. But yeah, I'm detecting any magic. Anything in this room?
So yeah, as you're looking around, there's nothing magical in here. Yeah, you're kind of. How long does that last for?
It's just at will.
Oh,
so
An invocation, so as much as he
yeah.
wants.
That is handy.
I mean, it's like 10 minutes at a time of
Yeah,
concentration or whatever. But that's only going to really matter in combat.
You
So
turn on the.
I just kind of turn it on.
Turn on your high beams and start looking around. And yeah, everything seems pretty mundane in here. The room is.
Now I have cancer.
No, you don't have cancer. You just are sterile now. So. But yeah, it's a simple, clean room, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
All right, I'll turn them off.
Yeah, and as you.
Well, that's.
No.
Oh, sorry, you
that's
first. Jasper,
yes.
they mentioned that. Gosh, I'm terrible with names. What is our halfling friend's name again? Chester. You mentioned that Chester, or the father here mentioned that Chester came by before, but while he was still alive and with us, he said that he had been adventuring with us for some time.
Yes.
Does that mean we started our adventure here, in this town?
It's possible, I guess.
He'd only been gone for 3 days. We had been supposedly asleep for a day or two within that
Right.
forsaken place.
Right, yes.
I can't imagine him having been one or the other, or the father is lying to us, is in cahoots with something.
Are any of you inclined to attend a temple like this? Would you have attended the temple with?
I see their uses, but I tend to avoid them.
I don't know. I mean, perhaps we all met in this town here.
I'm trying to remember what Chester said at the time, where we met, where we ended up being at.
I don't think he said where we all met. He just said we were here looking for the Westfall kids. And you've got
Well,
that
we're
note.
looking for the Westfall.
Note, Dakren. It's from General Westfall. He said is from a general.
Yeah, and he said it was in his state was where again?
White Fork.
Okay.
Do we know how far White Fork is from this place?
Make a history check, Brand. We'll see if.
At least I'm proficient in it. That's a 15.
Okay, yeah. It's a not a huge travel time away, but it is a couple days. It's a kind of.
On the main like Kingdom Road, right? Like the main.
It is.
Kingdom Highway,
off.
sort of.
So White Fork is on the main road, and is actually a kind of burgeoning trade center because it offers easy passage over the White River, where it splits off into a couple different points. So they've set up their own bridges that are that they charge for to bypass the river, which can be very large and wide and quite difficult to get across on your own. So White Fork's a really nice little trade center that has set up and is doing quite well for itself in the aftermath of the war, at least. So. Galen Falls, however, is say 2 days' journey east into the mountains from White Fork.
Oh, and the gods' names, did we get all the way from there to here, past here, through that waterfall into that cave in that pod. I don't. I tried just now and just sort of just focus and see if I can remember anything else.
Give me a wisdom check.
18.
Okay. So you're like really trying to focus on this, and you start thinking, and it's almost like reaching into a bowl of silk or smoke, and you can almost grab onto it, and you feel like it's just slipping through your mind's grasp as it just kind of falls out to the side. You just can't quite get it, but you get these fleeting kind of like barest flickers of journeying with other people, with coming up high mountain passes, with approaching this town as you see it kind of from the edge of the bowl that drops into the valley that the whole town is situated in. Nothing tangible enough to really lock on to, but you do get this idea like maybe we did travel from there up to here with a group or part of a group or something. And it's just, but again, it's like every time you feel like you've almost got it, it just kind of slips away. It's hard to lock on to anything specific. But and, after that, it's been enough time. Father Bertrand comes kind of tottering back into the room. He's like, "Here we go!" And he holds up this little bag, and you hear like a clinking sound in it. And he sets it down on top, and he goes, "Well, it's been some time since I've had to deal with the head bits, but most of the time these days I can just smack a healing onto it, but we'll see what we deal with here. Now, you had said, I'm sorry, Master Dwarf, you had said that there was some parasite in there."
Yes, and I'll describe what I saw previously to it.
It's terribly unpleasant. Well, no two ways about it. And he opens this thing, and it's like the old, clamshell kind of doctor's bag, and he starts rummaging around in there. And he's like, "I need one of those," and he drops this chisel. He's like, picks up a little bone saw, and he's like, potentially.
And a vorpal scalpel.
You see this roll, what you assume are the scalpels, and he looks like, "That's not going to do it." He sets it to the side, and then
Don't need that anymore.
I'm gonna flash my Eldritch Sight real quick, just see if any of his tools are magical per chance.
In that same way as you saw some faint glows, actually, I should have mentioned before. So, looking about, you see like the faint residual of some radiant magic on this holy symbol around his neck. So he's got this pendant of the 5-rayed sun symbol that he wears on a necklace. Simple burnished copper, it seems to be, with some faint markings around it, script around it, and then there's also a faint magical aura around. I think you guys have a healing potion left. I can't recall. And a faint.
I think I have one.
And a faint magical aura around Grimm's big bow that he's kind of leaning on the side here. And then also around.
So just the usual
around
stuff.
Hargus's instrument as well. Kind of this very faint residual sort of magical aura. But that's about it.
Okay, so just the usual. All right.
So he
Carry
has
on,
you
Father.
grab the skull by the ears, essentially, Bran, and has you neck up, as it were. And he's like, "Keep a good hold on
Cross section.
on the ball." And he comes up with the chisel, and he kind of like puts it on the center portion of the back of the skull, and he gets this. It's a relatively small hammer, but it's still a hammer, and he goes like. Kind of moves it up and eventually starts kind of wiggling it back and forth, moves it all the way around, and he's like, "All right, now for the You're unsettling. You're not squeamish, are you? Yeah.
I
think so
think
anymore.
I think I'm actually gonna go into the waiting room. So meet you guys up there after.
Just a moment. And he starts like grabbing one side of the skull and encouraging you to pull on the other while he kind of.
As he does that, Dakren hears, "Oh my goodness! It's like the inside of a whale, but all the worst parts." He just starts hearing me going
And the
off,
faint,
and I'm really exaggerating it.
and the faint laughter of an old man.
Just trying to be
Dakren
like
doesn't
descriptive
mind
as well.
During
Yeah.
Dakren doesn't mind during like combat, but outside of combat, he's like this. Yeah, I don't need this. So he's like
it kind of pops open
Walks
from the
away.
side there, and there's
What does Jasper do?
he's turned away with his eyes squinted closed. He's not looking. He's not.
I'm trying to be as descriptive in a gross sense as
He's
possible.
just like nope, don't need it. I don't.
It's like a boiled egg that had noodles inside.
We'll see how he does. Hey, he's alright.
Those noodles were filled with pus.
But yeah, you guys eventually kind of pull the back portion of the scalpel of the skull away, and he's kind of got it, stabilized side to side, and then he gets out the scalpel and stuff, and he's kind of looking at you. Now you said it was at the base of the skull, correct? Yes. He starts kind of slicing into the brain matter and peeling away. And as you're doing that, and he's like moving it aside, you can see that little tiny, small purplish worm feature kind of like move back up deeper into the brain. And he's like, that's terribly unsettling. And he kind of reaches in and grabs some tweezers, like big long ones, and he's like pulls it aside and goes, and he like reaches in there and starts like pulling out, and like eventually pulls it out, and there at the end of these tweezers is this like 1.5 inch little worm kind of twitching around, and as it pulls up and out, those very fine thin membranes that had been wrapped around the spine, you can see now are also wrapped around portions of the brain, thin purplish around the pink and gray of the brain, and as he pulls it up, they like break and tear and rip off, and there it is there, and he's like, that is awful. And he grabs a jar and
Like a
drops it in there,
botfly.
like puts this cork on it, and it's like flipping around on the bottom there. He's like,
Yeah, so other than cracking our own skulls open, how would you suggest eliminating or extracting such creature?
I think you've got one of those then.
I show in the back of my neck.
That's not good. Let me see. Oh boy. Tell you what. I'd like a little time with it to try and see what we can do with it, and maybe there are some ways we can kill it as it is. I wonder if it dies when it's removed from the brain, or if it persists in this form for some time. And he starts kind of like looking at it, like wiggling it around in there. It's like rolling about and kind of squirming. And he's like, let me do some reading and a bit of research. I'll try and look into various types of parasites. I've heard of some flies that lay eggs in the skin, but this is something else entirely. You say it's caused memory loss? You have memory loss? You think it's attributed to this thing, I assume?
Possibly.
Yes. Let's see here.
I start shaking the head like a bowl full of jelly.
Memory loss. Okay, very well. Let me do some research. Would you like to come back this evening? I will see if there is anything that is remotely familiar
All right.
in my books. And
But since this seems to have been controlling those people, I say we take a precaution, and you, for the moment, if you notice us doing anything completely out of the ordinary, outside of nobility, or starting to do cultist things, or saying not to investigate this any further, you know something's wrong, and that we should be detained.
It was an excellent sign. I changed behaviors. I've noted your behavior. You're a rapscallion, and then the quiet, nauseous one.
Fine and true.
And then yes, your other friends seem quite lovely. Yes, I will keep an eye on you. Yes. Well, tell you what. I don't suppose you want that, do you? And he kind of points at the skull. He's like, it's medical research is always very important, but I don't know that there's much I could get out of that. Although, and he starts like peeling the membranes off the spine and stuff. And he starts like, actually, fair amount of adherence to the different musculature and bone structure. He's like peeling the brain, kind of matter off the brain. He's like, no, I don't think you'd enjoy.
Well, I'll leave you with Mr. Potato Head. You can dispose of him as you please. Here's something for your trouble. There's 5 gold on the table for him.
I appreciate that very much. However, it is the call of the Dawnfather for healing, and you may need that for later.
Consider this a down payment for services rendered.
Yes.
If it is not required or outside of your ability, I will reconsider and then we'll do charity.
Very much appreciated, but I am not being hyperbolic. It may require every gold you have to buy sufficient supplies for any sort of ritual that is conducted to rid you of this. Some of the purification
Understood.
rituals are
Then,
quite expensive. Yes.
understood. Then I will take it as a to-do for you.
Again, yes. If you have any funds, I suggest you are somewhat sparing of them until we determine the exact cost that this would be. There are a number of herbalists and incense dispensaries around that I require for some of my rituals. As you may be familiar with, healing potions and the like can be rather expensive. So, yes. I will keep you posted again. Much appreciated. Very interesting. I haven't seen anything like this before.
Alright, well, I'll leave you to it, Father, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, that's excellent work. Excellent, very good. Will you be staying here in town, or where are you staying?
Here in town for the moment, at least till tomorrow. We'll play it by ear from there. Let me go converse with my compatriots.
Are you at the Heartstone, or are you at where are you staying? The Heartstone's, of course.
Is the what? The cheapest?
Oh, no, not very cheap at all. The cheapest is probably down by the docks. If you want the cheaper lodging, would you? Yes.
Do you know of any places that are of moderate to spot?
Moderate. Let's see here. What is it? I believe it is. There's petunias.
Preferably with wenches.
I mean, Petunia's a lovely woman. I call her a wench at your own risk, Master Dwarf.
Sorry, I have it from my hometown. Lovely young lasses.
Yes. Go ahead and, yes, you could go. Petunia's is very much middle of the road, as it were, for the modest gentleman looking to save
And
his
where is she?
If you move along towards the western portion of the town there, more or less in the middle, near the market.
I'll take note of that. Alright, I assume he tells us some place that's moderate.
Yeah.
Then, okay. And then I go out and say, well then, it's time to celebrate our safe return and our future prospects.
Right.
Fair enough. I think we all deserve it.
Right. You want to go to this Petunia's place, or?
Oh no, we're going to find normal lodging first.
No, I think he said Petunia's was the middle of the road sort of thing. I think he kind of implied
Oh, I thought Petunia's was a person.
she might be a person. Maybe she runs the place, or maybe.
Oh, she's a dwarf. She's in for a night. Let's go.
We could check that. I think he mentioned the Heartstone was the other one, but I think he said that was the expensive one.
Sorry, I love Branbrek's personality.
The Heartstone nearby?
I suppose we could go ask.
Like, is it on this road in sight or anything?
You guys leave the temple then? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could just ask someone about lodging. Petunia's is a modest kind of place above a flower shop, and it seems like she lets out rooms. They're kind of part-time sort of thing. The Heartstone Hotel.
There is so many levels of layers there. Anyways.
Yeah, like whether there's an apostrophe there or not could just be that they sell petunias. Who knows?
It's a flower girl shop. Yes.
Flower girls,
It's a beautiful orchard.
we got flowers. We got girls. Flower girls. Flowers for girls.
Girl.
I'm gonna go
flowers.
find Heartstone. I want a nice place to stay
Okay,
tonight.
yeah,
So
you
don't mind
you're
spending.
aware the Heartstone
money
is a
we
nice
found.
place, and so you want to go to Heartstone?
Yeah, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think we deserve some pampering. So I want a nice meal. I want a nice bed, and I'm gonna go to the Heartstone. What about the rest of you? You want to meet up here tomorrow, or?
I'm questioning saving my currency for a bit of time. However, I will see about some lodging.
Let's go see how much it costs. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. I'll give that some thought by next session. But
All right.
yeah, we can just say that we take a long rest, and that's a good
Yeah.
place to end, right?
So you're gonna all go to the Heartstone first and check it out?
Yeah. What's the
Think about
price
that.
for a?
What's the prices
Night.
between the different
Gold per
places
room per night.
for
Gold's
Heartstone?
fine.
Yeah, Jasper's kind of.
What about
I'll say that.
Yeah. What's that?
there's a part of me that wants to exploit the fact that I can get an audience with the local nobility and then convince them to shack me
Yeah,
up
I
there.
mean, if you're talking to so the guy who runs the Heartstone, he's kind of sitting there behind a large, highly polished. It's like half of an enormous tree along the side as you enter, just polished and burnished to glowing mahogany.
As a note, I do swap out into the super fancy clothing from my nasty gear. Take a moment to chilly clean myself
duck into a
off,
side alley and
make myself
change
presentable. Yeah.
Um,
Or a more local tavern or something like that.
Yeah,
Quickly.
you're doing that and kind of bundling up.
Yeah, I changed up my armor.
Yeah. Jasper is kind of looking around. And he's like, never been real big on cities and sort of things like that. And he kind of just takes
I
off.
look very
He
different.
takes off like a unrolled cloak, and he kind of shakes it out. It's like a big ghillie cloak. One side's all dappled white and black and gray, and the other side's dappled like green and browns. And he kind of flips it to the white and gray side and like puts it around him like that, and kind of flips up the hood. He's like, yeah, he's got like a very stereotypical gnome hat too. It's just a cone, straight cone gnome hat, but it bends over on the back, and he's just like, all right, yeah. Well, I guess we could check out this Hearthstone place. I don't know. I usually just prefer sleeping outside, finding a tree or something to curl up in bed. We can take a look.
That's fine, Jasper. You do you. That's totally fine. We can meet at the temple tomorrow morning if you like. I just need a good meal and a bath.
That's a fair point.
Bet.
Actually, no, wait, that's a really good point. I'm still covered in snot or worm snot, worm spit. What is it? Do we know? We don't know what it is.
I don't want to know what
Alright,
that
yeah, that's great. It's a fair
body
point.
fluid
Alright,
is
alright.
from. Worm.
Okay.
Some
Maybe we should stick together for now then. Okay, alright, let's move on. Yeah, and you make your way back to the so as you come in and you see that burnished countertop there, the guy behind the bar, swept back, coal black hair, manicured goatee. He's kind of leaning on it, very dapper vest and bow tie, human. As you walk in, he looks at you guys. Hello, welcome to the Heartstone Inn. Your Heartstone Hotel. Would you like rooms for the evening?
one room for me, please. Preferably with a bath.
For how many nights?
Meals included.
Meals included, yes. Meals included, drinks are not.
Fine. Just meals for me today, thanks. So just one for now, but tomorrow we'll be able to tell you if we'll be checking out or not.
What about your women?
Here in town,
you
but
seek, companionship for the evening?
I look over at Branbrek. That one does.
Yes.
I would like to be left.
Very well, so much very can be arranged for that. And he grabs your gold and then passes you over a room key. Second floor, number is on the key.
Thanks. Well, enjoy your night, Branbrek, Jasper, Argus, and
I just give him a half, like the half kind of salute.
Yes, so, what, we can send up any sort of companionship you look for? Would you care for a checklist?
Well, let's talk price first.
1 gold per night for the room, 1 gold per night for the company.
Sounds interesting. I need to go check out a forge really quick, and I'll probably be back. It's a pleasure making your acquaintance. I do a little noble-like bow and then walk out.
Jasper and Hargus will split a room. I think they're up for that sort of thing. So they split a room and go up the stairs as well. Because Jasper does realize he wants to get the worm snot off him.
I perused the town for a bit. I kind of wanted to go see if I could gain an audience with the local Galen, and then go from there.
Yeah, so you ask around and they direct you towards the long path at the very northern part of town. It extends outward and it goes straight up a long kind of winding hill, and you can see at the top of the hill a cobblestone just far in the distance. Looks like it'd take you probably about 20 minutes to walk up that way, but a small wall around a large kind of plateaued piece of land, and a fairly sprawling estate kind of up at the top of there that people direct you to as being the Galen Estates.
Okay. I will go up to knock on it, and we'll continue that next time.
You go walking up to the gate and kind of knock on it, and very shortly a very polished fellow with a thin black pencil mustache opens the door and says, very well, we will see you next time.
Do we get experience today, or is it milestone? We did milestone, right?
You guys deciding to do a number of insane things before you go to sleep. I did want to say that after all that, you guys are all level 3 when you wake up in the morning. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
That actually makes it more funny about the companionship. Level up.
The experience pushed you over the edge.
Dakren wakes up. He's
That's what I get for ordering the orc barbarian woman.
Bedroom, and then there's this flash of light of the level up noise from World of Warcraft.
That'd be a very awkward bed conversation. Did you just level up?